What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, certainly coming through once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, going live over on our YouTube page, along with Facebook today as well, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much, each and every one of you guys, for certainly joining us here as we're into, our second week of the new year so far, certainly kicking it off right, ladies and gentlemen, and I definitely hope everybody had a great holiday season. But now it's time to go ahead and get back to the real world, ladies and gentlemen. We got ourselves a bunch of topics that we're going to be getting into today. We got 6 topics to certainly go ahead and discuss, a couple of honorable mentions off the top, and then towards the end of the show, getting into your live viewer questions, as always, ladies and gentlemen. So if you would like to send over a live viewer question, you can do it at any time during the week. Feel free to just submit them over to aplusopinions@gmail.com. Again, that's aplusopinions@gmail.com. You can certainly talk about a movie you watched, an episode that you watched, something that you certainly want to go ahead and get our feedback on, maybe some news, some rumors you read throughout the week that you definitely want to get a little bit more insight into. Feel free to go ahead and submit them over our way. But yeah, send them anytime at aplusopinions@gmail.com. Guys, it is, at least for me, the end of fantasy football season. So if anything, maybe going forward, especially since we have the playoffs for football, we may be going back to our noon Central time. But I definitely will keep you guys posted in regards to how that definitely will work out. I'll certainly talk with Andy and Stuart in regards to that. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't mind maybe getting a little bit of extra hour worth of sleep. So we'll definitely go ahead and keep you guys posted. And if for some reason, guys, if I start lagging, if my visuals start buffering and dropping and things like that, I do apologize. My internet connection has been kind of weird over the past couple of weeks or so. So I do apologize if the quality isn't necessarily the best, but hopefully you can certainly hear us. But it's not just myself today. Oh no, it's not just me. We in fact do have Mr. Stuart Branscombe certainly joining us. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you, man.
Not much. Good to see you. I gotta say, your new camera looks really awesome. Yeah, just the quality is so good. Yeah.
Are you making fun of me right now because the blur?
No. I'm like being serious because I saw that you got a new camera on Instagram, and I think it looks really good. And
thank you.
Yeah, and I didn't bring this up, or maybe I did and I completely forgot. I'm actually legitimate kind of like jealous of your background because the background also goes really well together.
Thank you. I was like, man, I had this, sometimes you get those visions in your head and you picture something the way that you absolutely want it. And I got to say, man, even my own background, like even I surprised myself in being able to go ahead and put this together. I'm not complete. There's a couple of other things that I definitely want to go ahead and put into the background, some additional lighting. If anything, my girlfriend just got me a brand new desk for Christmas. I have yet to put it together, but it hopefully will provide me with like new angles and stuff to present my channel and background presentation and stuff. So I'm trying to do a little bit of upgrading during this season, during this holiday season. So I appreciate it, man. No, I thought you were joking for a second because I know my buffering and my connection continues to drop, so like it makes my visuals all fuzzy. So I'm like, does he really see the quality? Like I'm glad somebody noticed. So thank you very much, Stuart. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like you're still buffering a bit, but I don't know. It's just not as fuzzy as it was with your previous camera.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. So thank you very much, man. Yeah. For as much as I spent for this camera, actually this camera normally goes for $200, but I got it on like a 50% off, so I only purchased it for like $100. But those of you who are wondering, my camera right now, it's the Razer Kaio Pro. I spent like a good week or 2 weeks trying to do some research in regards to it, trying to find a pretty good webcam. It was between that, something FaceTime, and then there was like another Logitech camera that I was even considering because I had a Logitech webcam prior to that. But so yeah, it was a lot of tough choices, man. And I'm working on actually looking at a new microphone too.
Nice.
Yeah, so a lot of visuals, a lot of changes hopefully coming here soon. I also have a bunch of also have these LED lights that I wind up purchasing. So I got to try and figure out how to put these up and some other changes around here too. I want to get a new lightsaber. I want to try and even put like a lightsaber underneath the TV that I have up there also, maybe to add some pop and some colors and stuff. Some other movie posters I kind of want to put up too. So yeah, a lot of changes maybe happening around here. But yeah, thank you for noticing, Stuart.
What for lightsabers, what would be your color of choice?
Oh, I'm going Luke Skywalker, Return of the Jedi green.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's my classic one. So like I have a Obi-Wan Kenobi, or it's a Anakin Skywalker from Phantom Menace, or like Attack of the Clones, like hilt, with the green lightsaber, or like with the green actual saber itself. But it's so old, it's probably like 10, 15 years old maybe. So I kind of want to invest in the new one and have a nice little prop to go on the back wall. So yeah, that would be my color of choice. What about you, Stuart, if you had a
Oh,
lightsaber over there?
uh, definitely either green or yellow. For the base, though, I would go with Qui-Gon Jinn's design. That's always been my personal favorite. Oh, I think you just muted yourself.
Oh yeah, that yeah, can't go wrong with that, man. For me, I think I grew up on Return of the Jedi so much. It's probably my favorite Star Wars film. So that green lightsaber always left an impression on me for sure. I wish we had more green. I felt like when I watched the Phantom Menace, when I watched the prequels, I felt like there was way too much blue. So it was like when the Attack of the Clones hit and they had a bunch of the huge lightsaber battle over Geonosis. I was so happy to see some green lightsabers pop up in there, man. So it's one of my favorite colors.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about Rey and the yellow lightsaber? Were you surprised in Rey, Rise of Skywalker?
Oh, at the very end, a little bit. I don't know. I think I was so disappointed by the fact that she didn't like have her own from the beginning that I just kind of like didn't care when it came up.
I get you. I get you for sure. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for certainly joining us. And listen, if you're in the live chat, welcome to the family. Definitely feel free to go ahead and join our discussion as we go through some of our particular topics. We'll definitely try and get to some of your comments as we go through. A quick shout out to Shadow Nova Productions for certainly coming through today also. So thank you very much, guys. And whether you're in the live chat or not, if you're watching the channel, if you continue to love our content, do us a big favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that big thumbs up. The like button definitely does go a long way. And if you're joining us after the live stream, feel free to go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the comment section, and we'll definitely go ahead and continue this discussion all week long until next week. But before we get into our main topics, honorable mention time, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Stuart, I know you don't have an honorable mention for us this week, but you do have a recommendation. What are we talking here today, man? Oh, you're muted too. Look at that. We keep muting ourselves.
A couple days ago, I watched Don't Look Up on Netflix, and it might be one of the best comedies I've seen all year. I think my only issue with the movie was that the editing, especially in the second half of the movie, I felt like they really could have trimmed down the movie a little bit, because I think comedies are just better when they're shorter films overall. But with that being said, I think this had some of the most solid writing, because watching it, you'll be laughing your ass off, but you're also going to get really frustrated at how real the movie feels. Just the idea that like a big disaster is coming, and you have news medias trying to make the most light out of the situation that they possibly can, and then you have the president trying to cover it up, saying it's all lies. And oh man, it's a great movie, and I highly recommend people watch it.
Yeah, I definitely have been recommending it too, man. We watched it. My parents were down for the holidays. I want to say maybe we watched it that either that Saturday, like that New Year's Eve, leading up to New Year's Eve, I believe it was, or maybe that Friday night. We decided to go ahead and check it out. I mean, because they already got me with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, and I was like, and Adam McKay, the director and writer of it. So I was like, I definitely want to go ahead and give this a shot and just see what it's about. And I don't believe I had even watched the trailers. I think I just read the synopsis and I was like, oh, an asteroid or meteor is ready to hit Earth. This should be interesting to kind of see how this turns out. I don't know why part of me thought maybe this was like an end of the world type of action film or whatever, but I dove into it, and I got to say, man, I was thoroughly surprised. I've been recommending it to anybody that I talk to. Don't Look Up. I even posted it over on our Discord page for people to definitely go ahead and check it out for themselves. But I got to agree with you, man. The comedy in it is fantastic, but also just the social commentary of like just seeing how today it just speaks to our climate today. Like
Mhm.
it's pretty eerie as to, when a situation certainly arises. I'm sitting here watching this movie thinking that's exactly how we would probably act as a society, like whether that be from government's point of view, media's point of view, the frustration of just people in general wanting other people to take things more seriously. Like, I mean, just the freak out scene with Leonardo towards the end when he just gets so frustrated, like, what the do we have to do? Like, I totally understand the mindset, and I think for me, I think it's just a really great, and it's one of those things. Like for me, when I watch Don't Look Up, I feel like this is what movies are supposed to do. You know what I mean? To like make you look at just the world around you and what you live in and things like that, and kind of put things into a different perspective or an outside perspective, and kind of see ourselves and hopefully judge ourselves in a certain way that'll make us help us be better people, you know what I mean? Or approach
Mhm.
things differently kind of going forward. And for this movie to be able to do something like that with the humor and great story and acting and performances, I was super surprised, man. And I would definitely recommend it to certainly to anybody. So definitely check out Don't Look Up. So great recommendation. When you said you had a movie recommendation, I was kind of curious as to what it was for sure.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, probably the funniest movie of 2021 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely up there. It's probably one of my favorite movies this year so far, too, surprisingly. Nathan Moore said he loved Don't Look Up also. He says that would be me. I'm assuming maybe that he would be the Leonardo DiCaprio guy, just getting absolutely frustrated
Yeah.
with just wanting to scream at everybody. But yeah, no, I totally get it. But yeah, great film, man. Great film. If you guys haven't checked it out, please do yourselves a favor. Other quick honorable mentions here for the week. Unfortunately, guys, we had another passing of a legend here this week in Sidney Poitier. I thought it was important to go ahead and certainly talk about him. Also, I believe the first African American to actually win an Oscar at the Oscars, also just completely changed the way that cinema viewed Black Americans back in that day. Also, I mean, especially when you just have a time period where they very much stereotypical, painting the picture of what African Americans on screen should certainly look like. Sidney Poitier just definitely took it to a whole new level in regards to respect and just showcasing what he can do on the screen with his performances and things like that. So unfortunately, another passing of a legend, man. I mean, we just had Betty White pass, like last week or so. Now to have to say farewell to Sidney Poitier, just a tough time, man, when it comes to losing a ton of favorites. Another quick honorable mention, X-Men 1997 or X-Men 97, the upcoming Marvel Studios revival of the animated X-Men film or cartoon series is happening. They actually, I want to say, comicbook.com just posted a picture of the original voice actor of Wolverine back in the booth, Stuart. So he is in fact doing his voiceover for Wolverine once again, and the X-Men 97 will in fact be dropping this upcoming 2023.
Definitely excited for that one.
Let me see. Actually, pull up. Did I freeze on you, Stuart?
A little bit, but you're back now.
Well, my computer just completely froze on me. So hold on one moment.
All right.
I'm trying to pull up this Twitter picture of the voice actor in the booth, but apparently it doesn't want to work for me today. So we'll see what happens. Are you excited for the series, Stuart?
Yeah, definitely. I like that they're trying to get all the original voice actors back, and what I really hope they don't change the art style. But obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing the animation improve because of better technology and everything.
Yeah, that would be nice, man. That would be nice. I'm really hoping that they're up in their game, especially for this particular revival. Let's see here. Can I pull up this image? Will it let me? Let's see here. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
It
Yeah.
says, "Guess what I was doing in the studio today? So great to be back." Yeah, that's the original Cal Dodd. That's the original Wolverine voice actor back in the booth,
I
Stuart. Back in the booth. So it's
like that he's wearing a yellow jacket.
Yeah, man, it's definitely happening. So I thought that was actually pretty cool to actually see this week. Going down this other scroll and see. Oh, we also got news that Warner Media and Viacom are possibly selling off the CW network. Have you heard about that this week?
Yeah, I have. A lot of my YouTubers that I keep up with have been bringing that up. They're all like, okay, so I don't really know the logistics of what would happen completely with like all the DC Arrow shows. So I'm just kind of going with the assumption that like the other YouTubers I watch know what they're talking about, because as far as they say, they're like, oh yeah, no, those shows are going to be fine, all that kind of stuff. It's very unlikely that they're going to get canceled after the sell and things like that. So I'm just going to assume for now it's everything's going to be fine when it comes to the Arrowverse.
Yeah, I'm personally not sure how that works out either. I would assume, if anything, if they're selling it off, I would be curious, because we also have the Discovery and Warner Brothers merger that's supposed to be happening here too. So I do wonder if that has anything to do with it. The idea of Discovery picking up Warner Brothers, if they're saying, hey, we don't necessarily want the CW or something like that. So maybe they're
Mhm.
trying to sell that off. There's a part of me that would think that maybe those shows that we have now from the Arrowverse might just simply go over to something like an HBO Max. So it does make me wonder if there will be sort of less connectivity kind of going forward. But who knows? I would be interested. I'm not assuming that all these Arrowverse shows would be canceled. I would just assume that maybe they would be moved on to certainly someplace else, because Warner Brothers definitely does have other places they can certainly take their content. And then last but not least, I'll just go ahead and bring this one up. Stuart, I don't know if you know this, there is a rumor going around right now that's building up some steam about the upcoming Book of Boba Fett finale. In The Mandalorian season 2, we wind up getting a surprise cameo from Luke Skywalker himself. There's a rumor currently going around, Stuart, that the finale of the Book of Boba Fett will have the return of Harrison Ford as Han Solo in some capacity or another. I feel like the rumor mill for that is kind of building up here. They're saying that because Harrison Ford was over in London filming for Indiana Jones 5, I believe there's another Pinewood studio over there where they could easily, like, hey, Harrison, come sneak into this doorway. Let's film some stuff real quick, man. So there's some rumors going around that he might be in the finale or close to the finale of the Book of Boba Fett. What do you think about that? And is that something that you even want to see?
I hope that's real. That would be really awesome. Yeah, I'm all for it. I hope it's real.
Yeah, I hope it's real too. I think they definitely have a bone to pick with each other. For me, I think it would be just fun to kind of see the surprise on Han Solo's face that Boba survived the Sarlacc pit, and the fact that he kept him in carbonite for so long. I am kind of curious if there's a little bit of a showdown that's coming. So I would be interested to see how they even interact, honestly.
It would be funny if you had a moment where he tries to hit Boba Fett's jetpack again. Boba Fett just like stops whatever he's trying to hit it with and just goes, "That's not going to work again,"
Yeah,
or
that'd
just
be
something along those lines.
that would be pretty funny. Going back to the Arrowverse stuff, Nathan says the shows will continue. Will have to continue until the series contracts are up. I think. Yeah, I definitely do think that is something that will certainly have to happen. I'm not sure how long these contracts are. But if anything, I know some people are saying that the CW hasn't necessarily been very um, um, it hasn't really been a great source of income, if you will, for Warner Brothers. And I feel like for that, in a sense, it's more or less the content, right? Because I think the content that they put on there probably doesn't even make a lot of money from being on the CW. If anything, they probably make more money from streaming rights than
Mm.
anything else. So I can understand the idea of just moving over directly to streaming for a lot of these shows.
Yeah, especially because like a lot of the shows made their money from selling their properties to Netflix, or not selling, but renting them to Netflix to stream. And now that's not really happening as much on the CW. Now a lot of the newer shows are going to HBO Max, so I think that might also be a big factor in why they want to sell it.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right in regards to that. But we'll definitely keep you posted. I'm sure more details will certainly happen. I'm not sure exactly how far along the sell off of the CW will certainly take, but once we get more information, we'll definitely go ahead and let you know. All right, Stuart. I think with that out of the way, I think it's time to go ahead and get into some main topics today, man. You ready to go ahead and dive into this with me?
Always.
Let's do this, man. Guys, we got 6 topics that we're going to be getting into for you guys. We got 2 Marvel, 1 more on the television side, and 3 DC topics to definitely go ahead and break down for you guys. But today we're going to go ahead and kick off with some Marvel topics, ladies and gentlemen. As you guys saw at the top of the show, highlighted and plastered over on our thumbnail, Andrew Garfield winds up taking the main story here, our main topic this week, because after the success, the massive success of No Way Home, there's been a huge surge on the Twitter sphere and social media in regards to the possible return of Andrew Garfield for a 3rd film. Now, while no particular news has been confirmed by Sony or anybody else for an Amazing Spider-Man 3, the momentum continues to certainly build for one amongst fans after everybody had the opportunity to check out No Way Home. You know, one of the things we talked about last week, Stuart, was where were all these people years ago when the Amazing Spider-Man 2 dropped, right? I didn't hear nobody asking for more Andrew Garfield then. But times have certainly changed, ladies and gentlemen, and there definitely seems to be a big wave of nostalgia, happiness that they even pulled this off over at Sony when it comes to Spider-Man No Way Home. And after a lot of the emotional performances that we wind up getting from all 3 of our incredible Spider-Man actors, definitely more has been asked by the fans, to certainly say the least. So while there definitely is a big question mark in regards to the future of Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, you know, this past week, Stuart, it sounds as though Andrew Garfield is a lot more open to the idea of returning than I think maybe even we certainly gave him credit for. So let's go ahead and dive into this and talk about it a little bit. This article actually comes to us from Variety.com. Andrew Garfield on, let me see if this thing will load for me. Hold on one second here, guys. There we go. Andrew Garfield finally spills about the Spider-Man return and future and the gift of Tick Tick Boom Boom. It's an exclusive here from him. Following the lengthy stage hiatus, the actor stormed the 4th quarter of 2021 with back-to-back films, The Eyes of Tammy Faye and Tick Tick Boom. The later has placed him front and center for even Oscar contention in the Best Actor category. And then came December. So Andrew's already been having a big year. Says the cat, well, is out of the bag that Garfield, despite sly denials and winning our Best Liar award for 2021, he eventually reprised his role as Peter Parker in Sony's No Way Home alongside Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire. If you ask me, an incredible cinematic moment, to certainly say the least. They say, starting simply, why did you say yes to No Way Home? He says, I wasn't expecting to ever have a conversation again about potentially playing Peter Parker. It felt very exciting to just be a fan again. But I got this call from Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige and John Watts with this idea. It was immediately undeniable. It sounded incredibly fun, incredibly spiritual, and trippy and thematically interesting. On a base level, as a Spider-Man fan, just the idea of seeing 3 Spider-Man in the same frame was enough. And it was enough for me too, man. I get goosebumps every time I watch that scene. The pitch was really, really enticing, they said. You played this character in your way and what you want to explore if you had an opportunity. If you were dumped into other universe and faced with this younger you and this older you, how will you respond? We talked a lot about mentorship. We talked a lot about brotherhood and about what it is to be the older brother, younger brother, and middle brother. There's also a thing of seeing someone you love walking down the path that you've already walked down, and you know it doesn't lead the place where you ultimately meant to go. That character is isolated in his emotional experience and physical experience. But what happens when that loneliness gets blasted open and you come to realize that you've never been alone and there are other brothers going through the same exact thing? That's a big spiritual journey to go on, man. And then we just milked out all the fun that we possibly could have had. He says, you and Toby really did this. This wasn't a green screen test up in your driveway, and you have a profound impact on Tom Holland's Spider-Man. He says, we were shooting for 2 weeks, Toby and I, but I think we managed to achieve something that is not showing up and going, hi, bye. My Spider-Man got to save his younger brother's romantic relationship potentially, and to heal the most traumatic moment of his own life through doing it for his younger brother, making sure that he didn't have the same fate. There's something cosmetically beautiful about that. It meant getting a second chance at saving Gwen, which was his love interest. You know, the spirit that Zendaya brings to MJ is so heartfelt and pure and loving, and Emma brought the same unique spirit to Gwen. What do you think about that, Stuart? There's more to go in regards to this article, but I definitely want to break this down sort of paragraph by paragraph a little bit, and just hear what he has to say. How are you taking it so far?
Yeah, it's again, so if he said that they were only on set for like 2 weeks, they made the most out of those 2 weeks, I think. And I think
I agree.
everything he brings up about his character, like where he's at right now, and him trying to prevent Tom Holland from going into that same direction. Yeah, I saw all that on the screen, and I thought it was so brilliantly done. And I love that this is the mindset that they went into when filming their parts for the movie.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of the things that gets jumped out at me that I love when he talks about in here is the fact that this wasn't necessarily a high buy sort of scene or situation, right? Because I think
Mhm.
going into No Way Home, we had talked about the idea like, hey, we believe that they're in this movie, but we think maybe they get 5, maybe 10 minutes of screen time. And that's kind of where the high buy sort of mindset comes from. But the fact that they were so thorough in regards to really allowing Andrew Garfield's character to kind of grow. Like he said, being able to fulfill, or make up for a traumatic experience in his life, being able to kind of help out his younger brother, not just in saving MJ, but with some life advice, if you will, too. Like it just goes to show for me just the thoughtfulness that went into the idea that this isn't necessarily just fan service, right? Like fan service to me would be the 5-10 minutes with no true impact sort of thing, just throwing them in there. But the fact that John Watts and the rest of the team were thoughtful enough to really make their impacts affect everybody in this movie, including themselves, I think it just goes to show just how much they actually took care of making this particular moment actually work for film. And I thought it was incredible, man.
Mm-hmm. Agreed 100%.
Let's see here. He says, talk about your time with your fellow Spider-Man. What did you share off screen? Compare notes about spandex and fans. He says, I think the first time we were all in a suit together, it was hilarious because it's like just 3 ordinary dudes who were just actors, just hanging out. And then also you just become a fan and say, oh my God, we're all together in the suits and we're doing the pointing thing, like straight out of that meme. He says there was talk about going to the bathroom and patting around the package. We talked about working, what worked for each of us. Tom was jealous because I had little zippers in my suits that I can get my hands out very freely. He says to work his phone, he had to use his nose because he couldn't access his hands. We would have deeper conversations too and talk about our experience with the character. And to have Amy Pascal there, who has seen through 9 movies, including Spider-Verse, it was a revelatory experience for her, realizing how much life and time she had given to this character. That was beautiful and profound. He says, there's a line I improvised in the movie looking at Maguire and Holland, and I tell them I love them. That was just me loving them. So I thought that was actually pretty cool, because I thought that was a great moment, right? Like that's when they were trying to figure out their game plan. Spider 1, Peter 1, Peter 2, I'm Peter 3, right? And before everybody breaks, he just holds them. He's like, I love you guys. And I thought it was such a cool moment to know that that was improvised. I'm so glad that they kept that in the movie, man.
Yeah, if if there's one thing that the MCU is really good at, it's knowing which improvised lines to keep in and still make them feel like they were scripted, like they were all supposed to be part of the movie.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely totally agree. I totally agree with you there. And then last but not least, this will be like the last two paragraphs we'll talk about it, but it says a lot of conversation about this movie has been a sort of redemption for your Spider-Man, narratively, commercially. How does that feel? He says, I'm so grateful. I'm just really, really grateful that I got to tie up some loose ends for Peter that I was playing. I love that character, and I'm grateful that I got to work with these incredible actors, this incredible director, and Marvel in conjunction with Sony. It was joyful and a feeling of closure for me. There were so many unanswered questions for my Peter where we left it. I got to step back in and get some healing for him, and also really supporting Holland's Peter and honoring his character, completing that trilogy, not distracting or detracting from it. I completely agree with them. And they asked the big question, would you be open to coming back to the character? He says, I mean, yes, definitely open to something if it felt right. Peter and Spider-Man, those characters are all about service to the greater good and the many. He's a working class boy from Queens that knows struggle and loss and is deeply empathetic. I would try to borrow Peter Parker's ethical framework in that if there was an opportunity to step back in and tell more of that story, I would have to feel very sure and certain of myself. So um he definitely sees just how much it's grown his stock, certainly as Peter Parker's Spider-Man. The idea of actually being able to come back, he feels personally having to put some closure on his particular arc as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. But he's definitely open for the idea of him certainly returning. Do you think this is something that could possibly happen here, Stuart, especially after seeing the success, the big momentum swing that people are asking for an Amazing Spider-Man 3? Do you think it's a possibility that this could happen someday, or do you think maybe Andrew is done for good, considering that he felt it was closure for him?
I could definitely see him coming back in a future project. I don't know if I see Amazing Spider-Man 3 happening anytime soon. But I also would say this, never say never. I think we mentioned that a lot on this channel at this point, kind of when it comes to comic book movies. I feel like the world of possibilities are just kind of endless. So just don't get your hopes up too high that it's going to happen for sure. But yeah, I do think we could get him back though in a future project. You're muted.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying there too. I definitely agree, right? At this point in time, just I mean, the fact that we've even got Michael Keaton coming back as Batman, like wow, never say never, right? Uh, for me, and I talked about this when me and Indy wind up doing the spoiler review for Spider-Man No Way Home. Was for me was the idea like I'm perfectly okay if this is Andrew Garfield's last hurrah as Spider-Man. I thought they did such great service to his character and even Toby's character. Like this just felt very much like a tying of the bow, just a proper ending to that particular arc, just giving them a perfect bow out sort of moment, a great climactic moment where we personally never thought that we would see his character again. But now that we have, I felt like even Andrew feels like it's kind of come complete circle. He's been able to accomplish things as Peter Parker that he wasn't able to in the past, able to help out a younger brother, if you will, giving him an advice kind of going forward and stuff. For me, I don't necessarily feel like I need another Amazing Spider-Man or a need to maybe see Andrew Garfield Spider-Man certainly return, just because I thought they did it so incredibly well in this particular movie. So while I don't necessarily think we need one, don't mistake that for the idea that I don't want to see this happen. Like it would be cool to see a return for Andrew Garfield if Sony came to us and was like, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and launch a Spider-Man 3. It would make 100% sense to me in the sense of he just has garnered a lot more attention these days, especially after No Way Home. People clearly want it. Let's see if it happens. I do think that when it comes to Sony and Marvel, they definitely tend to sometimes listen to the fans, or if their voices are loud enough, certainly give them what they want. But in a sense of not just fan service, they really are going to be sort of paying attention and putting sort of their best foot forward. So, some people are talking about, oh, can we get Tom Hardy's Venom facing off against this particular Spider-Man, right? Like maybe Venom is truly in the Andrew Garfield sort of Spider-Verse that they have created before in the past. I mean, that would be cool and all, but for me, I'm perfectly okay with No Way Home being his last, but I'll never say no to the idea of Andrew possibly coming back for Spider-Man. So we'll see if it's something that happens. But I would be curious if fans would certainly be loud enough, and if that's something that we truly want, or if we're still on just a high from No Way Home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm not sure how they would be able to pull this off. Like, if as like part of a different movie, like I feel like the only way they would be able to do this is if it was Amazing Spider-Man 3. But I think like one of the other things I really would be interested in seeing with the Amazing Spider-Man 3 is what changes were made now to his universe, because like for both this
Mm.
movie and for the Tobey Maguire universe, you look at how they completely changed the path of the villains. And so I feel like that would also change like the path of like that universe. Like that universe would be a lot different. So part of me is curious if it would lead to Gwen Stacy still being alive, possibly.
That would be interesting, right? Because I mean, technically, if you save the life of Electro, um, where does that path go, right? Like, does that automatically, like I would be curious, like if we did get an Amazing Spider-Man 3, does it end in that moment where, because I think all these moments that we've seen so far in No Way Home was like just before these villains die, right?
Mm.
Kind of taking them out of their world. So if they have corrected this moment, like would an Amazing Spider-Man 3 kick off with seeing Electro actually saved, and that battle kind of stopped, and maybe changing the course of history for what Gwen Stacy's death might have looked like? I mean, I know they were facing off against Harry Osborn, but maybe the outcome of the Electro battle really changes things significantly kind of going forward against the Green Goblin and things like that, and things change happen a little bit differently. So I would be really interested to see if that's something that's capable of happening. I don't think it needs to happen, but
Hmm.
I definitely feel like if fans are asking for it and there's a lot of positive buzz, if you can really come up with a fantastic story, at least for maybe one more film, definitely pull it off. But I like your idea too, Stuart, in the sense that maybe it's not even a Spider-Man 3 that we get, but maybe he pops up somehow in Into the Spider-Verse, or like some other cameo that they might have for another one of their upcoming films or something. I think that would be pretty neat too.
Completely forgot about Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, that's coming out. That'd be kind of a cool way to do it if they wanted to.
I mean, Tom Holland and Tom Holland and Zendaya have been asking. I believe they said, "Can we be in your movie?" I think they've been trying to pitch being in Across the Spider Verse also. So it would be kind of cool to see where some of these characters pop up at. So yeah, never say never, in the sense that this is the last that we've seen of people. I mean, with us really diving into the world of the multiverse, whether that be Marvel and Sony or even DC, I feel like anybody at this point in time can certainly pop up again when we certainly least expect it. But it feels like Andrew Garfield's got more in the tank if he wants to try and pull off being Spider-Man one more time.
Yeah, definitely.
I would be kind of curious, if anything, like, do you think the world is big enough for more than one Spider-Man movie at a time, Stuart? Like, because the only reason why I'm saying that is, I mean, we already got Tom Holland, who I think, especially after this trilogy, knowing that we're going to be getting possibly another trilogy, he's really kind of cemented himself as the Spider-Man. Not taking anything away from Tobey and Andrew, but really kind of taking that mantle and things like that for himself. The idea of a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, maybe another Amazing Spider-Man movie, who knows, maybe a Miles Morales live action movie somewhere down the pipeline. Also, I know we've got at least 2 more animated films with Miles also. Do you think the world can handle more Spider-Man on screen than just one?
I gotta be honest, I'm not sure. It worked with James Bond back in the day, when you had two completely unrelated James Bond movies coming out within like the same year of each other, but like they weren't even part of the same franchise. So, you know what? Maybe you could do it with Spider-Man. I feel like at this point, Spider-Man's become like one of the biggest. I mean, he's been the biggest superhero name for so long. So I feel like if there's any superhero you could pull it off with, it's definitely Spider-Man.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely feel like he's getting definitely a lot more recognition these days than somebody like a Superman or even a Batman when it comes to being on the big screen these days. Nathan Moore does say that it's happening. He was waiting for it, thinking in regards to the Amazing Spider-Man 3. So we'll definitely see, guys. If anything, I definitely do think I will be revisiting the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I know I was a big fan of the first one. I didn't mind so much the second one. I don't know if I was as overly critical as some people were, at least not in the sense of like, we're not getting the third. I honestly wholeheartedly believed after watching Spider-Man 3 and just the money that it made that we were going to be getting a conclusion to that trilogy, but unfortunately never came. So we'll see if we eventually get it or if this was the perfect bow out for Andrew Garfield. But let us know your guys' thoughts. Do you want to see Andrew Garfield return as Spider-Man more often, whether that be in his own film or as a cameo going forward? Or do you feel as though when it comes to No Way Home, this was the proper send-off for his character? Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And Stuart, honestly, man, I want to see that movie again. I definitely want to see No Way Home again. Just if not just for the moment of seeing all three of these Spider-Man together. It was just very, very much a spiritual moment, I think, for us and anybody that's watched the previous Spider-Man movies. It was fantastic to see.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. And with that topic out of the way, we will go ahead and move on to our next topic, continuing in the world of Marvel, ladies and gentlemen, as the Marvel world continues to change over the past couple of years here with the opening of the multiverse over the past year or so. The possibilities are endless, as we've certainly have talked about. Just diving a little bit into Spider-Man, seeing a lot of these returning characters, getting the opportunity to see what DC is doing, especially over in the Flash movie with the return of Michael Keaton, if you will. The idea of past MCU television series are now kind of being brought back into the fold when it comes to the MCU. Characters that we didn't think we would ever see in the MCU, considering the massive split that certainly was with television and the movies. But I think, honestly, Stuart, recently when we've gotten the addition of Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock in No Way Home. For those of you who watched the Hawkeye series, we have Vincent D'Onofrio return as Kingpin as well from the Daredevil series. The big question really has been, what other characters could we potentially see, right? Is a Jessica Jones going to be returning? Is a Luke Cage from the Netflix series going to be returning? Iron Fist, or are we going to get ourselves sort of a new spin? The idea that these characters are in fact returning has really opened up the floodgates for a lot of fan bases of other MCU or Marvel television shows to urge for their characters to certainly be included. And one of those particular shows, Stuart, is none other than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, if you guys are big AOS fans, trust me, the frustration is understandable after all these years, right? The show itself started out with the concept of it's all connected, right? This television series is going to connect to the bigger MCU shows. And while Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for themselves definitely put in a ton of effort through its run to connect to the MCU, it's always been a shame, I think, through some fans that the same hasn't necessarily been said from movies to the acknowledgement of the television series. And so over the years, Marvel has kind of put up a big middle finger, with the exception, I think, of Jarvis popping up in Endgame, really giving a big middle finger to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans in regards to not really referencing them certainly from time to time. But with the involvement of Daredevil and Kingpin now being in the MCU, are times changing? It seems as though one Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. star certainly hopes so, and that comes from the amazing Ming-Na Wen. So let's go ahead and dive into this and see what she's saying, because I feel like the momentum for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. continues to grow, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and pull this up. This comes to us from deadline.com. Give me a second for this page to actually load. Ming-Na Wen reacts to fans' rally to revive Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where she says, fingers crossed. So it says, is Agents of Shield finally coming back? That's what a mass amount of fans were calling for today on social media as hashtag Save Agents of Shield began trending. Fans also were rallying for the series, which ended after 7 seasons and 136 episodes in August of 2020, to be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe canon. It says Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. starred Phil Coulson from the early MCU movies, but the series developed its own timeline. Now, with the MCU dabbling in the multiverse, hope bounds for an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. revival. The fervor comes as previous Marvel TV stars are making cameos in the recent MCU movies. Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox, Wilson Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio. That series focuses on Kate Bishop, ending with the big climax in that Laura Barton, Clint Barton's wife, is really Agent 19, aka Mockingbird from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So yeah, we definitely have some interesting storyline concepts happening here. Ming-Na Wen played Melinda May, aka the Cavalry, on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a vet pilot and soldier who was recruited by Nick Fury to assemble a team for Coulson that would battle bad guy organization Hydra. When asked when today about the social media frenzy for the return of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., this is what she said. She says, I love that our small fan base is getting bigger and bigger because I think people are starting to rewatch all the episodes and realizing what a wonderful series it was. And I love the fans and the fans' reactions. And as far as the revival goes, fingers crossed is what Ming-Na Wen says. Who knows? Kind of putting up a big question mark here. And for those of you who are wondering, you can still continue to see Ming-Na Wen. She is playing the character Fennec Shand in the current Book of Boba Fett series over on Disney Plus. So while she certainly doesn't know whether or not there will be a revival or an inclusion of these characters in the MCU at any particular point in time, she does clearly take notice of the idea that the fan base continues to grow and becomes louder and louder as more people get the opportunity to check out the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series. So let me throw this over to you, Stuart. With the way that the tide seems to be turning these days, when it comes to these characters popping up once again and now being included in the MCU, do you think there's a possibility now more than ever for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., whether that be a revival of the series or maybe just popping up somewhere? What's your thoughts going into this?
I honestly don't see the show itself getting a revival per se. If they ever do bring back Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it'll really probably be more of a reboot than anything else. But I do definitely see the actors coming back in other MCU projects. Like, I would be really surprised, for example, if in Secret Invasion, if we don't get a single cameo from any of the characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm legit going to be pretty surprised because at this point, Marvel has shown with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio that they do know that fans really like their, the Marvel TV shows, and they really like the characters from those shows. And I think Ming-Na Wen's Cavalry character in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was one of the most popular in Marvel for quite some time. So if they do end up kind of bringing back characters from Marvel TV going forward, I feel like she would have to be really high on their list because not only from her character that she played on S.H.I.E.L.D., but just the big impact that she's had with Disney in general. They even bring it up in the article, Book of Boba Fett, and of course, even way before all of that, Mulan. So I think the fan base is big enough. I think Marvel knows that this is what the fans want. I think they're just, they're trying not to give it all to us at once. I think they really want to take their time with it. There was a reason we didn't get to see Daredevil suiting up in Spider-Man. It's because they're not going to give it all to us at once. They're going to tease us a little bit, give us a little bit there, a little bit there, and then eventually I do see these characters being fully integrated into the MCU later on.
Yeah, I will be honest with you, Stuart. I completely agree with you here, man. I truly do. It is one of those things we've talked about it before, right? When they announced the idea of Secret Invasion, based off of just the storyline from the comic books alone, with Nick Fury putting together sort of these secret warriors, if you will. One of the big characters that was immediately a part of his team was the Quake character in Daisy Johnson from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She had a significant role to definitely play as a part of his particular team. And it is one of those things where, granted, when it comes to MCU now, while they definitely do adapt certain storylines from the comics, it's not necessarily a copy and paste sort of thing, right? They definitely do take sort of their own liberties and stuff, but it feels like it's set up perfectly for certainly a moment like that. And I'm glad that you bring up just Ming-Na Wen's relationship with just Disney in general. I feel like with everything that she's done for that company, she's got like an eternal lifeline with Disney. Like I feel like they definitely want to keep her sort of under their umbrella for as long as they can, because they know her talent and exactly what she certainly brings to the different franchises that they certainly put her on. So I definitely do think that Ming-Na Wen would certainly be a front runner for possibly returning. I think the idea of Phil Coulson certainly returning feels very plausible, at least movie wise. And the idea of maybe even Chloe Bennett possibly coming back up in some form or another for a Secret Invasion. I think all of that is certainly on the table. So I would agree with you, Stuart. I think that we are in such a time period. Like, if they are paying attention to Netflix fans that love the Daredevil series and they're saying to themselves, you know what, we're going to go ahead and do this fan base a great service and bring back these characters because they've been so good at what they're doing. I think Marvel just recognizing that just makes it hard for me to believe that they've got blinders on in regards to other big fan bases, because I would argue the idea that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan base has been even louder about the return of these characters than even fans of the Daredevil series and returning of Charlie Cox sort of thing. So I'm sure Marvel is certainly paying attention, but I gotta say, Stuart, I think if it granted, we got a bunch of different MCU television series that are bound to happen, right? So maybe some of these characters can pop up elsewhere, maybe like an Armor Wars or something like that. But I feel like Secret Invasion is like the opportunity to certainly make it happen, right? If Nick Fury is trying to secretly put together a team that is like off the radar, if you will, similar to like in the comic books, right? So that scrolls can't necessarily find these people and change into them. What kind of really cool situation would it be for your secret group to be the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? That haven't gotten any recognition in the MCU for this entirety of the time, but maybe in reality has been something that Nick Fury still has been working this entire time. So I think it would be, I think it lines up perfectly for something like this to happen. So I would agree with Ming-Na Wen, fingers crossed, but it feels like the momentum is certainly swinging in the direction for Marvel fans. So I think it's going to happen, Stuart. I really do think it's going to happen.
Yeah, and on top of all of that, the actress for Quake, she did recently, quit the production of Powerpuff Girls, which means her schedule is open more. So, with that kind of happening around Secret Invasion, it is possible. It could be a coincidence, but it is possible that it means something else.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility for sure. I mean, she's definitely come out and denied the idea that no, that's not what I'm decided to jump on board with, sort of thing. So granted, these days, anytime an actor is just going to tell us no, I mean, there's no reason to believe these people
Yeah.
anymore. None whatsoever. People could definitely going to have their own speculation in regards to what she could possibly be working on next. But yeah, it definitely has opened up her opportunity, since she's not going to be on Powerpuff Girls anymore, for her to certainly join the MCU in some capacity. So we'll definitely see, man. Again, I don't necessarily think we're going to get a revival of the series itself, but I do think that there's maybe one or two additional characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that might get that opportunity to be in the MCU, certainly going forward. So we'll see, guys. I'm again, I think this is like the last chance. Like, if they don't pop up in any of these upcoming series here rather soon, I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans are pretty shit out of luck here. But I think the momentum is swinging in their favor, man. I truly do.
Yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
But go ahead and let us know your guys' thoughts. Are you big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan? Have you been waiting for this moment for these characters to certainly return? Was there a hint of jealousy to see Charlie Cox? Like, how come that show comes back, but ours isn't? I would love to know if you guys think that this is finally going to happen. Go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. All right. And Stuart, we will be jumping into our next set of topics as we transition from Marvel over to television series in general. And this is in regards to a development over at Netflix that we're getting ourselves a brand new project that's certainly headed our way. And for those of you who are big fans of Scott Pilgrim, you certainly might be totally on board with this particular news. Now, Scott Pilgrim started out as a graphic novel. I think sometimes, Stuart, people forget that it technically was a comic book movie in its own right. Probably a very underrated one, as much as it's certainly appreciated by its fans. I think sometimes we tend to forget that it is sort of a comic book movie in and of itself. But Scott Pilgrim started out as a graphic novel. We got ourselves an amazing live action adaptation starring Michael Cera, along with I'm losing her name now, Stuart, to play this girlfriend.
I'm terrible with names. I don't remember.
Elizabeth Weinstead. Is that who it is? Right? I believe it was Elizabeth Weinstead, who went on to eventually play like the Huntress and things like that. But Scott Pilgrim is coming back, ladies and gentlemen. While not necessarily in a sequel or even live action for that matter, more Scott Pilgrim is coming to us in the form of an animated series, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and dive into this article here, because I don't think we can get enough of Scott Pilgrim, honestly. It was such a great movie and a great comic book series. I'm really excited for this concept here. But this comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that Scott Pilgrim anime series is in the works from UCP and Netflix. This is an exclusive report coming to us from The Hollywood Reporter. It says the Sex Bombs is warming up its guitars for a possible comeback. Scott Pilgrim, the hit graphic novel series that was adapted into an Edgar Wright vehicle, is once again headed to the screen, this time as an anime series. Netflix and the UCP, the division of Universal Studio Group behind the Umbrella Academy and Chucky, are developing the brand new adaptation, which does not have a series order. So it definitely seems very early in development at this point. Brian Lee O'Malley, Pilgrim's artist and creator, is writing and executive producing, with Ben David Gurbinsky, the showrunner behind the revival of Are You Afraid of the Dark at Nickelodeon. The two will showrun the series should it move forward, with anime house Science Saru on tap to provide the animation works. The company's Choi will serve as producer, and they also have Abel Gongora as director on this series. So yeah, it says part action fantasy, part romantic comedy. Pilgrim centered on the slacker in a garage band named Sex Bomb with his friends. His life is turned upside down when he meets Ramona Flowers, an American girl who is recently single, but before their love can blossom, Pilgrim finds himself challenged by his love's 7 previous relationships and must defeat them in over-the-top fashion. I absolutely love this movie. And I believe it also says that Wright, who adapted the work, he wrote the script and directed. I believe he's also planning on being an executive producer on this particular series as well. So the main writer and creator of Scott Pilgrim returning to actually helm this anime series project for Netflix. I'm assuming you were a big fan of the movie, Stuart. How did you like the film in general? And what do you think of this news?
Oh, I loved the movie. Unfortunately, I was one of the people that did not see it in theaters because I thought the trailers for the movie looked absolutely terrible. But yeah, I was really sad after I saw it and realized, man, I really should have given this movie a chance and actually like watched it in theaters. But yeah, I love the movie, and I love the idea of it getting an anime. I mean, not an adaptation of the movie itself, but an anime adaptation of the same source material that made the movie. So Yeah, this is definitely something that I'm intrigued with. With it being Netflix, I think my only worry about it is whether or not, it gets canceled after one season, like a lot of other Netflix shows seem to be doing now. But with the exception of that, though, I think everything else they got behind it, including some of the writers, like one of them I remember from Are You Afraid of the Dark, the Nickelodeon revival show. That was a lot better than I expected. Yeah, seeing that if he's working on it, I think it has a lot of potential, definitely.
Yeah, well, I haven't watched the new revival series. I used to be a big fan of the show, but I have heard some encouraging things in regards to the revival series. So the fact that they have him involved definitely does pique my interest. That alone, also with the idea of the same company that brought us the Umbrella Academy. I haven't checked out Chucky as of yet in regards to the TV series. I believe that's currently on Sci-Fi and USA, if I'm not mistaken. But I've always really been impressed with the Umbrella Academy. I'm really looking forward towards season 3. So I think he's got a lot of great supporting pieces around him to really make this anime series kind of jump off on its own. So it is something that I'm definitely looking forward to. I was a big fan of the movie. I did go ahead and see it in theaters. I feel like this movie came out for me when I was on a really big Michael Cera kick. I felt like there was a time period when Michael Cera was like at the top of the world and he couldn't do any wrong in some of the comedies that he was certainly in. So the fact that he was in this movie, I remember thinking to myself, I definitely going to go ahead and check it out because I always loved his type of sense of humor and things like that. And so I thought he was perfect for him and Edgar Wright working together. The storyline was hilarious. The action sequences were actually pretty badass. Really, I love the interaction of live action and animation and how they really made it all kind of work together, very very video game-esque, if you will. It just spoke to the nerd in me, you know what I mean? So and some really great performances as well. But yeah, this is something I would love to see in anime series form. I would be curious if it would need more than one season to certainly tell its story. I didn't read the entirety of the Scott Pilgrim graphic novel, so I don't know exactly how long that series certainly runs for. But I definitely would be open to the idea of seeing how long they can certainly make an anime series work. I mean, if they were able to make it flows so well in live action form, especially with all the special effects that it winds up including, and still making it feel very dynamic and very action packed and really unique into itself, especially with an amazing soundtrack. Also, I gotta think that this even lines up better in anime form than it certainly would even trying to tackle it live action. Because had you asked me before the idea of making a Scott Pilgrim movie, I didn't think it would look like the live action that we wind up getting at all. I thought they did a marvelous job with that. So now to see them going to the route of anime, I feel like this lines up perfectly to tell the Scott Pilgrim story already. So I think this is a really great catch by Netflix, man. I really do.
I think it'll also be like an easy way to draw people to it too. Like when looking at the Scott Pilgrim trailer for like, the movie, I think that was what kind of turned me away from it, is that it was just so weird seeing like all the action that you would normally see in a cartoon going into live action. So here it'd be a lot easier to kind of like sell to someone who's probably never seen the live action Scott Pilgrim. And then hopefully in getting interested in the anime, they eventually decide, okay, I think I will give the live action movie a shot and see what I think of it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Quick couple comments from Marcelino. Thank you for joining us, Marcelino, today. Brandon Routh, Brie Larson, and Chris Evans were in the movie as well. Absolutely, very early on in their
Yep.
careers, I feel like,
Superman
or at
and
least Captain
Superman and
America.
Captain Marvel were a couple in it.
I know it was pretty crazy to kind of see how that wind up turning out. Yeah, they were Brie Larson, super young. I can't remember if this was like her first big movie that she was in or not, but super young and fantastic in this movie also. Brandon Routh, I think, already off of his Superman Returns sort of moment, and I think was this before or after Chris Evans became Captain America? Some tells me it was after, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think it was before he was
Was it
Captain
before?
America. He was the Human Torch, unfortunately, is what he
That's
was
what it
known
was.
as.
That's what it was. And Marcelinos does say, do you think that they will deviate away from the source material so it won't look too repetitive from the movie? Like maybe they can add in a secret evil eighth X. That would be pretty cool. I
Mhm.
wouldn't mind them taking their own liberties. I mean, when you have the creator actually working on it, I mean, who knows? Maybe in anime form, he feels like he's got a little bit more freedom to do or add or switch things up if he wants to. Do you think that it's going to be directly from the source material, or you think there's going to be some moments of deviating away?
Well, I feel like if it's only one graphic novel, you kind of have to deviate from the source material if you're going to like expand it into
Expand
a
it.
TV show.
Yeah, you might be right in regards to it. So we'll see. I was just thinking that the other day, like, okay, so we've got a Scott Pilgrim graphic novel, we've got a live action movie. How many times can you sort of keep telling this story over and over again and make it feel fresh and brand new? You know what I mean? I mean, clearly putting it into a different type of medium definitely does help in that regards. But I also felt like there's got to be more to it, right? So at least that's how I kind of view it.
Hmm. Um, yeah, I think as long as they're able, like, I think what they could also do too is they can have like their own kind of filler episodes. I feel like the type of characters that we get in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, it's the type of like kind of world that you could really have them doing their own like kind of one-off adventures that don't necessarily have to add to the plot. So yeah, there really are endless possibilities, honestly, with that world altogether.
Yeah, I definitely agree also. I think what the creator wind up putting together does open the door for other of storytelling if they definitely want to go ahead and deviate. So we'll see what happens here. But I do think that when it comes to anime, this is lining up perfectly for a story like Scott Pilgrim. But I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts. Have you checked out the live action, or have you even read the graphic novel itself? What did you think of those? And what are your thoughts on the idea of it coming to an anime series over on Netflix? Definitely go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live action, or excuse me, in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, Stuart, we will go ahead and start tackling some of our DC movies and television news for you guys today, as we're going to go ahead and transition over to some DC talk, ladies and gentlemen. We had a couple of really big topics that wind up dropping this week that I thought would be interesting to go ahead and dive into, especially the idea that Cobra Kai season 4 is currently out, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, Xolo Mariduena, that stars in Cobra Kai. We do know that he is going to go ahead and portray the main character in Jaime Reyes as the Blue Beetle in the upcoming DCEU movie that was going to HBO Max, but is now currently getting itself a theatrical release. Stuart, before we even get into this topic, have you watched Cobra Kai season 4? Have you watched all of it? Have you finished it, or are you still working on it?
Yeah, I think I binged that the not the first night it came out because I actually didn't even realize it was out, but I binged it like the second or third night it was out, and yeah, really, I think I'm really liking it for the most part. I just feel like you can kind of tell they kind of had it written in the beginning half like it was going to be the final season, but it feels like in the second half like they only just then found out that they were getting renewed for another season, so then they had to like start, you know, all this new conflict that they could use to branch out for the next season. So I felt like that came off as a little too obvious, but with the exception of that, I do think like you know, same really solid character development type of writing that we've been getting through this series. You know, great humor, and just yeah, I'm still enjoying it just as much as I was with season one.
Yeah, I am too. Now, I haven't finished season 4 as of yet. The girlfriend and I, we literally just finished The Witcher season 2 like earlier this week. So we literally just jumped into Cobra Kai this week. I mean, I think we probably started yesterday or the day before, and I think we've already binged like the 5 episodes. I mean, so I feel like we're pretty close to completing this season so far. but I'm really enjoying it, man. This for me continues to show why I think Xolo Mariduena is perfect for the Blue Beetle role, and why he's very much deserving of the fame that's about to hopefully start heading his way even more by joining the DCEU. But if you haven't had the opportunity to check out Cobra Kai season 4, please do yourselves a favor and do so, because this week he's been doing his rounds when it comes to press, doing a ton of interviews, sitting down and talking a little bit about Cobra Kai season 4, the filming process, and things like that. But when people have the opportunity to sit down with Xolo, you know the topic of Blue Beetle is certainly going to go ahead and come up at some particular point in time. And it did this past week, as Xolo had the opportunity to sit down with USA Today and talked a little bit not only about season 4, but also his Blue Beetle role. So let's go ahead and dive into it as of right now. Let me go ahead and get to the Blue Beetle questions for you guys. Here we go. It says, with Blue Beetle coming up, is DC superhero the next logical role after Teenage Karate Star? Xolo says, honestly, it feels like I've skipped a few stepping stones. Cobra Kai has been such a wonderful opportunity, and it feels a little bit intimidating being this is my first movie, and it's in a realm that's totally different than anything I've ever worked on. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. It's going to be important not only for Latinos and to see people of color, brown people represented on screen, but also show a story that we haven't really seen before. He says, have you seen, they asked him, have you seen your superhero suit yet? And he says, we've actually done 2 suit fittings. They're hoping I get more buff by the time we actually start filming, but I've seen the suit and it looks awesome. So he does make the joke, no Christmas cookies and milk for me, I'm assuming is when they had the opportunity to sit down and talk about this. Stuart, I do want to start off when talking about this because, I got to give, look, I want to say I want to give WB props here for picking up such great young talent. Is it a little bit worrisome? Obviously, I get what Xolo is saying when he says, I feel like I skipped a couple of steps, right? I mean, because when you look at Cobra Kai and what it originally started out as, wasn't that like a YouTube television series, right? Um, and within the first couple of seasons, it's garnered so much attention. And now Xolo has become, I don't want to say a household name, but he's become a star on a Cobra Kai show that's moved from YouTube to Netflix and has really put him in a big limelight. So the idea of starting out on your very first sort of acting gig or big role. I mean, I don't know if Xolo was in anything else prior to Cobra Kai, but it did feel like a lot of these characters were relatively green in their experience, maybe newcomers to television to a certain extent. See if you can look up Xolo's IMBD page. See if he's got anything bigger on his thing besides Cobra Kai or anything else for that matter before Cobra Kai. So I get the idea of like, hey, I just joined Cobra Kai and I'm on a YouTube show. And now within 5 years tops, I'm now going to be headlining a superhero movie. And it feels very newbie to me in the sense that DC has picked up Xolo that doesn't have any movie experience when it comes to acting. Leslie Grace is literally about to go ahead and become Batgirl after this being her only second big budget film that she's like ever been a part of, right? So they really are taking a lot of these unknown actors and attempting to certainly make them into big names. Now, when I see Xolo, I do see this kid capable of doing this role. So when he talks about his intimidation and things like that, I totally get his perspective. But I honestly do think that he's going to knock it out of the park. I love his work in Cobra Kai. I think what they're asking of him will easily translate over into something like Blue Beetle. And I love the fact that he's already seen the costume and had his fitting on so far. Like for me, I think Batgirl snuck up on us in the sense of how quick they were ready to go ahead and go into production for that particular movie. And I think same thing might happen here with Blue Beetle. The fact that he's had two fittings, it wouldn't surprise me. And again, I haven't watched all of Cobra Kai, but there is a part of me that I'm wondering, like, are they waiting for him to be done with this series completely? Like, are we going to see Xolo for season 5? Is he even going to pop up in there? Or is his life going to be now just so demanding because of the fact that he's now going to be sort of Blue Beetle? I am going to be curious to see where it goes from here. But I'm curious. I would also love to see how much muscle he actually does put on. The fact that they want him to get a little bit bigger definitely means that they want him to have that superhero mindset in getting ready for this particular role. So I'm excited for this, man, and I'm very much excited for him. But what do you hear when you hear Xolo talking about this? What are some of your thoughts that are going through your head, also, Stuart?
I think I don't think they were necessarily waiting for him to finish up Cobra Kai. I think it's more that they're waiting for the like kind of gaps in between filming for Cobra Kai.
Okay.
Because yeah, usually when it comes to like kind of bigger productions, they tend to do a really good job of being able to work around other people's schedules as long as they're not like too overbooked. But yeah, like him as Blue Beetle, I think was a really smart decision, and you know, I even think it might have been like a safe decision to like a certain extent because you know, big production or not, the kid definitely has shown that he has a lot of talent in Cobra Kai, and on top of that, you know, he's working on a TV schedule, which I mean, no matter how talented you are as an actor, that's a really challenging thing to do. TV schedules can be really demanding at times. So I think the way DC's looking at it is they need someone who they know can, you know, take the harsh schedules of working on a superhero project as long as they're being, you know, well compensated enough. So I think that was like another factor that went into why they ended up choosing him. But yeah, I think as a Blue Beetle, it's a really good choice. I actually am looking through his IMDb right now. And yeah, it does seem like Cobra Kai is the biggest thing he's done. However, I want to hear your thoughts on him as Blue Beetle real quick first, and then I'll tell you some interesting shows that he's in that I didn't even know existed.
Oh, really? I mean, yeah, I think for me, at least when I see him, when I think of him as Blue Beetle, I think he's perfect for the role. I really do. I would be curious to know, like, in the casting for Blue Beetle, like, who else did this kid like beat out? You know, I do think maybe his own physical attributes in regards to him knowing martial arts and having sort of that kind of training probably certainly added to. But I think Cobra Kai has just made him such a big name. Like when I look at people in this cast, Xolo is the one that I think will be really successful, and even Tanner Buchanan, who plays you know, Johnny Lawrence's son in here. I, you know, as much as I want to I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Tanner because I don't think he's that great of an actor, but I think physically he can really do a lot of great roles. So, you know, all the rumors about him maybe being like the Tommy or like the future like Green Ranger power, I feel like it's almost lined up for him. So I feel like Tanner and Xolo are probably the big two that out of the Cobra Kai season will definitely go on to do something. But I think Xolo is lined up perfectly when it comes to Blue Beetle. I really love the casting choice.
Yeah, definitely. So a couple of weird shows that I didn't know existed that he's in. Cleopatra in Space.
That's a show, or is that a movie, like a
That
short?
is a show, like an animated series. I think it's like a Netflix show.
Okay. Is he like voice
Another,
a voice actor for it?
yeah, he voice acts in it.
Okay.
And then this is a one that I didn't know existed, but apparently is 52 episodes and is on Netflix. Fast and Furious Spy Racers, and it's another animated series.
So okay, so he's done some voice acting, but Cobra Kai is like his only acting job, only acting
Well,
gig?
there's one more. This one's live action. I don't know if he's like a main character on this show, but apparently there was a Rush Hour TV show that I never knew about.
You know, I want to say I've heard of it before. I don't think I can't imagine it had more than one season though.
It
Maybe
only
two?
had 13 episodes, it looks like, but
Oh, yeah, I feel like I had seen promos for it.
I haven't. I didn't even know this existed, but now I kind of want to at least check
Wow.
out the first episode.
Yeah. Does he is he how many episodes does it say how many episodes he's in?
Oh, what was it? Oh no, never mind. Just one.
Oh, okay. So
So
he
he's not
was
like
like,
a main character, but he's in an episode. So
okay, yeah, maybe it's worthy of certainly checking out. But I will say again, props to DC for picking up fresh new actors that are leaving an impact in other things. And hopefully this is a good start for their stardom, certainly going forward. But I cannot wait to see what this costume looks like. I mean, we've seen
Mhm.
concept art for it already. What do you think about the idea of them wanting him to bulk up for the role a little bit more? I mean, I got to think he's in pretty good physical shape here. I mean, we talking like Tom Holland esque? You think for Blue Beetle?
I really hope they don't push him too hard for that because I think right now he looks perfectly fine. For Blue Beetle, he's in really good shape. But if they do need him to bulk up, hopefully they just again don't push him too hard. I'm just excited that like there's actually a suit he's going to be wearing and that it's not just going to be a motion capture suit. That's kind of something like I assumed they were doing, but I'm glad I was wrong. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, the idea of a physical suit is pretty inspiring. I do wonder if it'll be a combination of both though, like um physical and then maybe like after effects in post production or something like that added to it. Because when I think of it now, for some reason, I always go back to Indy's suggestion of it like being the guy, like the Guyver suit,
Mhm.
like an alien sort of armor, if you will. And while that suit itself definitely back in the day was a physical suit, I would be curious to see the idea of bringing that to life in a live action form and what that would certainly look like. So, yeah, I am thrilled too that he actually has some sort of a physical suit that he's going to be rocking as well. So, we'll see, guys. Let's definitely give our support to Xolo as he goes on this journey to be Blue Beetle. Again, even getting the promotion from HBO Max to theaters, they definitely have big things in store for the Blue Beetle character going forward. All right, Stuart. And with that topic out of the way, we certainly will move on to our next topic. And we're going to go ahead and continue to stay in the realm of DCEU. This one comes into, looks like we actually have two back to back Flash topics to definitely go ahead and dive into. But the first one is a little bit in regards to Mr. Ben Affleck himself, who got the opportunity to play Batman in several different movies here for the DCEU. We saw him pop up over in Batman versus Superman, along with the Justice League movie. I think we even saw him in a brief cameo also for the Suicide Squad and things like that. But we never got the opportunity to see Ben Affleck in a solo Batman film. Unfortunately, with the departure of Zack Snyder and bringing on Joss Whedon to go ahead and do the Justice League movie, eventually all of that stuff truly started to compound on Ben Affleck's career and really turned it into a not so enjoyable job for him anymore, to the point to where he's even in the past talked about just how it's kind of drove him to drinking a little bit, if you will. Wasn't necessarily the healthiest part of his life and kind of changing his lifestyle around, sort of thing. But it feels as though ever since that particular time, Ben Affleck, now the idea of him possibly returning, we saw him return for reshoots for Zack Snyder's Justice League and going to be setting to appear in the upcoming Flash movie. And it certainly seems as though while Ben Affleck's tenure to begin off the Batman role was certainly a little bit rocky and not as enjoyable, it seems as though his second tenure as the Bat has certainly been much more enjoyable for him. And so I thought it would be absolutely interesting to go ahead and dive into this article where Ben Affleck this week, ladies and gentlemen, lets us know not only the good aspects of his time during filming of The Flash, but the fact that this probably will be his last as well, Stuart. So wipe those tears from your eyes, ladies and gentlemen. I know we were all big fans of Ben Affleck for sure, but now it's time to go ahead and certainly say farewell. This is from IGN. Saying that Ben Affleck confirms that The Flash will mark his final appearance as Batman. So let's go ahead and dive into this. It says Justice League star Batman Ben Affleck has confirmed that his appearance in The Flash will mark his final outing as DC's Batman, and that it includes his favorite scenes playing the character. During an interview with the Herald Sun, the 49-year-old Batman revealed that he won't be playing the iconic superhero role for much longer. Following a very, very, very hard experience filming Justice League with Joss Whedon, Affleck admits that the pressure of the role led to a relapse in drinking, which then led him to pulling out his planned Batman solo movie. However, he also stated that doing reshoots on Justice League, as well as filming scenes for The Flash, put a really nice finish on my experience with that character. It says Ben Affleck has been expected to appear as Batman in The Flash, the upcoming DC superhero movie expected to adapt the Flashpoint comic book series. It appears that making that final appearance was a lot of fun. This is what Affleck had to say. He says, I have never said this, and this is hot off the presses, but maybe my favorite scenes in terms of Batman and the interpretation of Batman that I have done were in the Flash movie, he revealed. I hope they maintain the integrity of what I did because I thought it was great and really interesting, different, but not in the way that is incongruent with the character. Of course, the production's still ongoing. Affleck isn't sure whether his favorite scenes will make the final movie or what form they'll take. Nevertheless, he's more than happy with his contribution. He says, who knows? Maybe they will decide that it doesn't work, but when I went and did it, it was really fun and really, really fascinating, encouraging. I thought, wow, I think that I have finally figured it out. Talking about his time as the Flash. So definitely a final appearance. As he mentions, that certainly was a lot of fun for him. So he's no longer picking up the mantle, and definitely seems like he's had a great time when it comes to filming. When you hear this, Stuart, what does this make you think, though, about not only the Flash movie, but also Ben Affleck's just his tenure as the Batman?
Um, I think I've said this many times. Like I really did like his performance as Batman. I just didn't like the writing around his performance. So it is too bad that we never got to see him acting out in his own solo Batman movie. But at the same time, for Ben Affleck's sake, I am really happy that he's stepping down from the role after the Flash, just because as they mentioned in this article, and there was another article that my girlfriend showed me where he goes into a lot more detail about what happened. It just wasn't good for his health, like his mental health. He wasn't enjoying it as much, and it caused him to relapse. And so the logic for him kind of became, why am I still doing this if I'm not having fun when there are a ton of other actors out there that would love to be playing Batman right now? So I am glad he's stepping down for his own sake so he can work on his own, mental health, because I think that's very important to take care of. But yeah, I just hope that after the Flashpoint movie comes out, I hope that, fans can look back and go, he was a really good Batman and he did a really good job. And I hope he can see that appreciation from those fans that, really saw him for his, or really saw that true potential that he had.
Yeah, I hope so too. For me, I was really happy for him when he talked really highly about his returns for reshoots on Zack Snyder's Justice League. I felt like he definitely had a lot more fun during that time. And so to be able to see him actually embracing that role again was really encouraging. I honestly thought that maybe the fact of him enjoying being in that role again might have him come back for even more moments as Batman, maybe eventually going on and trying to go ahead and tackle that solo Batman film that I think a lot of us certainly wanted. But you're right. I like, there is a part of me that's happy that he overcame the demons and stuff that came from him playing Batman all those years, and a lot of the how people certainly attacked him for the role and things like that. So for him to now be in a much better position in this life, I'm really glad that he is where he's at this moment. So the idea of him stepping away feels like it's probably as good a time as any, right? I mean, when we do have Michael Keaton certainly coming back as a form of Bruce Wayne and Batman in the upcoming Flash movie too. We also have Robert Pattinson doing his own Batman movie, which I wouldn't be surprised if that eventually gets turned into a trilogy itself. I think Affleck has certainly taken the cues of is taking a step away, and letting other people get that opportunity to portray this particular role. And for me, he was definitely one of my favorite iterations of the character. There was something really special and gritty and dark about the way that he tackled it. Certainly is a shame that we didn't get that solo film, but I think in regards to his health and mental health still being intact, it was probably certainly a good thing. I would be really interested to kind of see, it's always fascinating for me to kind of see how an actor starts portraying a character, especially after so many different iterations, right? I mean, we talk about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I think a lot of people would even say, Tom Holland's best rendition of Peter Parker and Spider-Man came in No Way Home, right? Three official solo movies under his belt, a lot of cameos and things like that. For me, it's really cool to kind of see an actor grow into that character and truly understand the characters that they're certainly playing and having a fundamental true understanding of it. So, the scene that Ben Affleck's talking about in this Flash movie, there is a part of me that wants to see it. I hope it's that good to where they certainly do keep it in the movie, because I do want to see just where that understanding of Ben's perspective of who Batman is and portraying that in his acting. I really want to see that on screen. I truly do. And there's a part of me that's hoping that it's a moment that he shares on screen with maybe a Michael Keaton. Like, for me, it would be really cool for Ben Affleck, like his Bruce Wayne, to see Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne. There'll be something really fun in that for me. Whether or not that's a scene that we're definitely going to get, who knows? Maybe it's an interaction between him and Ezra Miller's Flash that we definitely get. But there's certainly a lot more story, I think, for Ben's Bruce Wayne to certainly be told. And I definitely do hope that they do him justice in this particular movie. I don't want to say he's only got 5 to 10 minutes, because the last time I said anybody's got 5 to 10 minutes, they actually wind up playing a rather pivotal role when it comes to No Way Home. So I am just hoping that this final appearance is certainly worth it, and they definitely do his Batman the correct way. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing how Ben comes across on screen as the Batman in this movie. I'm really looking forward to it, Stuart.
Since the last time we both predicted role was just going to be a cameo, I'm just going to go ahead and predict that it's a cameo, and hopefully I'm wrong and it ends up being a full role then.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I would really love to see the two Batman interact with each other, as long as they can pull it off good with like the way they did it in Spider-Man, by like not having either one of them one up each other, but at the same time having both of them lift each other up.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's kind of the same mindset that we get here also in regards to how it's kind of pulled off. It is odd to see like the idea of a passing of a torch from Ben to Michael Keaton just based off of the age. Like, you would think maybe it would be certainly the other way around, but it feels like Michael Keaton's Batman is definitely going to have a bigger role going in the future when it comes to the DCEU, in that sense of maybe being the main Batman for that world. But a lot of question marks still remain when it comes to the upcoming Flash movie. But yeah, man, for me, it's gonna be hard to say farewell to Ben Affleck, just based off of even the fact that we didn't get to see him in so many movies. He still turns out to be one of my favorite Batman, certainly to be on screen portrayal wise, despite the fact of not having as much time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I definitely agree. And again, it's too bad that we're never going to get any more from him. But at the same time, I do appreciate like everything he's given from the few movies that he was in. I do like that he definitely gave it his all.
I definitely agree too. And it always felt like, for me, it always felt like great casting, even though it was definitely, people definitely had some pushback. To tell us, as I remember, a lot of people would call Ben Affleck Batflick instead of Batman. Yeah, they definitely picked on him for sure when the announcement was certainly made. But I think for somebody like Ben, he's always been such a huge, avid Batman fan his whole entire life. I mean, I feel like you go all the way back to like Mallrats, right? When I believe Ben had a cameo or had a role in Mallrats too. He's always been a big comic nerd. He's always appreciated Batman as a character and one of his favorite characters too. So I thought the idea of getting somebody as talented as Ben, who not only can do it in front of the camera, but understands the character too, would really go a long way. And I think it showed in just his performances too. Datilla does ask, what's your guy's favorite Batman? She's a Michael Keaton supporter also, but she does like Ben better than George Clooney. I don't know if that says much, but yeah. What about you, Stuart? Do you have a favorite Batman?
I think just because of like nostalgia reasons, I got to go with Michael Keaton as my favorite Batman personally. Unless we're counting like the cartoons as well, then Kevin Conroy all the way.
Ah, good one, good one. I like it. Marcelino does say that he believes that Ben Affleck said there was no interaction between him and Michael Keaton. At this point, I don't believe anything anybody says. So we'll see. We'll take him for his word, Marcelino. We'll definitely take him for his word. But I took Andrew Garfield for his word too, and look what happened. So we'll see. I hope. I mean, I would get the idea if there isn't any though, because I would assume just movie wise, maybe it's Ezra Miller's Flash interacting with Ben's Batman, and then shit hits the fan, and then he winds up bumping into sort of Michael Keaton version of Batman. Like, you're not quite the same Batman that I remember being my Batman, sort of thing. So I would be curious to know how these changes are certainly going to happen. But farewell, Ben Affleck. Thank you very much for the time that you've definitely provided for us. But I do think similar to like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, I'm hoping that this movie is a proper send-off to their character arcs going forward. But definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts, guys, in regards to this being Ben's final appearance as Batman. Do you still want to see Mervyn? Do you think there's a possibility, Stuart, that somewhere down the line he pops back up again?
You know, 5 or 6 years down the line, anything can happen. He might actually be like, hey, you know what? It would be fun to give Batman one more try. And then we get that mini series on HBO Max that everyone's been wanting.
That would be pretty badass, right? Just get Ben Affleck a little bit older to play another grumpy Bruce Wayne at some particular point in time in his life. I would definitely take that for sure. But yeah, guys, so go ahead and let us know your thoughts in regards to Ben's Batman. How has it impacted you? Were you certainly a fan? Who's your favorite Batman? Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. All right, Stuart. We've got one more topic that we're going to be breaking down before we get into your guys' live viewer questions. And this continues to surround the Flash movie once again, because things are changing when it comes to the DCEU. We just talked about it. Ben leaving his role as Batman and his final appearance being in the Flash movie. What does the DCEU have in store for us, certainly going forward? This past week, man, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of rumors and speculation that it's going to be changing significantly, that the idea of the Flash movie is really going to be set as a soft reboot for the DCEU and essentially erasing the Snyderverse as we know it. And anytime that you mention the Snyderverse on social media these days, a huge fan storm certainly follows when it comes to people that are big supporters of what Zack Snyder wind up creating, the pushback against Warner Brothers for ignoring and not wanting to continue along with the world that Snyder wind up building, sort of thing. There's always been a ton of pushback when it comes to Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder's Snyderverse. And so the idea of the Flash rebooting the DCEU and this now term being thrown around of erasing the Snyderverse has definitely gotten a lot of people talking. So let's at least dive into the rumor briefly, Stuart, in regards to what's certainly going on. Now, this comes to us from Murphy's Multiverse, not really a site that I use too much, but a site that at least focused on the rumor that definitely has been going around. So it says, continuity in DC Extended Universe has been a bit loose these past few years, with a lot of factors up in the air. It's been tough for many fans who just want solid answers on the future of beloved characters like Batman and Superman, two pillars of the franchise throughout many mediums. We've known for a while now that Affleck basically is out the door and Henry Cavill's future is still very much up in the air, some recent reports seem to point us in the direction of where the DCEU will be headed and the future of the extended universe. My Time to Shine, who made a name for themselves with stories based off of Marvel Studios' upcoming project, recently shared some details on The Flash and just what effects the film will have on the shared universe. By the sounds of it, it's not going to be good for longtime fans of Zack Snyder's additions to the franchise, who was the person that initially kicked off the new rendition of the franchise. So this is from the Twitter handle My Time to Shine. Hello says, I don't usually tweet about DC stuff, but I had a friend who had seen The Flash, and the movie will erase every movie Snyder has done. Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and Justice League never happened now. Erased from continuity, Affleck and Cavill are both gone. So it says, as such, the Flash may effectively, quote unquote, erase the events of Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League. Along with the films, Flash would also be erasing both Affleck and Cavill from DCEU timeline entirely, with the return of Michael Keaton cementing him as the new Bruce Wayne. Of course, it's uncertain how the film will accomplish this, and with the multiverse, it may simply end up redefining the mainline timeline like the DC's famous crisis events. So again, this is just a Twitter handler. I don't even really know this guy too much. My Time to Shine. This was also supported by the other online source of Grace Randolph, which I think some people laugh at in regards to a reliable source. I don't know Grace very much. I don't know what she's gotten right or wrong in the past, to certainly say the least. But this has been at least a big rumor that's been going on. The fact that it's going to erase every Snyder movie that has been done. So while that has definitely been the big rumor going around, Ezra Miller, the Flash himself, Stuart, has come out and denied these rumors also. So let's hear exactly what Ezra Miller had to say in regards to this. So this is coming to us from comingsoon.net. He denies the rumors that the Flash will erase the Snyderverse. And I want to get your thoughts on this, Stuart. It says, let's see here. Where'd it go? I thought I had his quote. Okay. So it says, according to a recent Reddit post, Miller replied to the direct message of a fan expressing concern that the upcoming film would be erasing Zack's movies. In his response, Ezra Miller explicitly denied that from happening. He says, no power or force in any known megaverse would or could ever erase Zack Snyder's mighty works. You can take that quote, take that to the bank, to the press, to the schools, to the military, and the other pillar of capitalism I'm forgetting, because of that thing where if you try to think of a group of things, you always forget one of them. Okay, Ezra, it's such a weird dude, such a weird dude. But he's simply saying, in no way, shape, or form, in no universe that you exist in, could they ever erase Zack Snyder's mighty work. Stuart, do you think this is a full-on denial that this rumor isn't true? Or do you feel as though in some way, shape, or form, this is kind of skirting around the truth and him trying to express what erasing truly means? How are you taking this rumor and his denial in general?
Oh, 100%. I think it's just him being like, it's not being erased, but I don't think he's confirming that it's not going to be taken out of continuity. I think like that was the issue with the Twitter post is they didn't say it was going to retcon. It didn't say like, oh, it's just going to change the continuity of the DCEU. It said specifically we're erasing Zack Snyder, and that's not what they're doing. Even if things change after the Flashpoint movies, you can't just erase the other movies and act like they never happened. They still happen, you know, maybe not in the same universe that we're going to be seeing going forward, but they still happened in their own universe. And for, you know, a period of time, Ezra Miller's Flash was a part of that universe. So that's what I think he means by it. I don't think he's necessarily saying that those movies won't be erased from continuity, but he is confirming that, you can't just erase movies that have already been made. They're still going to be they're going to have their own imprint in their own worlds, basically.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that's exactly what he's saying in here also, like while I do believe that the movie will certainly change sort of its continuity for the DC cinematic universe. Can you really ever erase a movie or the events that happened? And I just don't think that I don't think that they can. First and foremost, this rumor that's going around, this person saying that he had a friend that wind up seeing the Flash movie. I don't believe that for a minute. I really don't. I think if anything, I don't even know if like executives have had the opportunity to sit down and watch this movie as of yet. Who certainly knows? But I don't believe that this person that says that they have seen the movie has actually seen it. I think if anything, they're probably just trying to throw out some terms to kind of get people worried. I mean, the term erase definitely does have big connotations to it, right? But I think there's something different between erasing and just moving forward, and doing something different. So I do think this is a case of if anything, Marcelina says, do you think Ezra is also trying to die down the negativity and uproar for the fans? And I think he is trying to do that a little bit, and also trying to have people keep an open mind as to where the DCEU is certainly going. You make a great point, Stuart, in the sense that Zack Snyder's movies happened. Whether or not Warner Brothers liked the outcome of what happened, they happened. The fact that the Flash movie is starring Ezra Miller, somebody from Zack Snyder's Snyderverse, as the lead role in here, regardless of how this movie ends, I would assume that Ezra Miller's still involved as the Flash kind of going forward, right? So there is always going to be a part of Snyder's universe that existed. If this movie is simply going to have him, as Flashpoint does, go back, change history and stuff, all that is predicated off of what came beforehand. And so the idea that we have the Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Justice League, all this stuff is established DCEU. All those are events that took place and forged the DCEU to where we are today. So even if we do get sort of a Flashpoint idea, maybe some things do change and he kind of manipulates time. But again, that's just moving forward to me. That's just doing uh, a new branch and extending off in the DCEU in the way that Warner Brothers officially sort of wants to go. So I would never say that this is erasing anything. I think this is just changing the perspective of, hey, we appreciate what Zack Snyder certainly did, but this is an opportunity for us to now have a new status quo, which is something that we've talked about, and moving things forward in a sense. So yeah, I'm not buying the whole erasing thing. If anything, I think this is Snyderverse established this. Now we're just making significant changes here to where we can embark on the DCEU that we feel a little bit more comfortable with, but it's never going to be fully forgotten. You know what I mean? I don't think that's even possible to do. And if anything, it lines up perfectly with what DC Comics has done their entirety of their career. I mean, Zero Hour, Crisis, the New 52. I mean, damn, they're doing something new every like 2 years and rebooting their particular universe. So I don't think that this should come across as anything surprising or people read too much into this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's literally based on a comic book that was made to reboot the universe. So it's
Right.
not a surprise at all that
Why?
a movie based on a comic book to reboot a universe is being used to reboot a movie universe. That makes total sense to me. And yeah, and on top of that, like you definitely bring up a good point too. It's like the big reason it's not racing is that it literally is just moving forward. And especially because I remember hearing in an interview that Zack Snyder himself planned for something like this when he was originally jotting his ideas down for his universe. He wanted to end it at Flashpoint so that if any of the actors wanted to move on, they easily could. They could easily write them out and then just simply replace them with new actors after the events of Flashpoint. So this isn't like anything like super new or anything. This is a rumor that's been going around around for quite some time. So it's kind of weird to me to see all the fans really reacting this way about it now, even though we've kind of known about this for a while.
Yeah, it surprises me too, because I think I even read somebody's post on Twitter that was like, guys, this movie's been announced for years. You
Yeah.
know, like the concept of Flashpoint happening has been out there for years. This movie's been delayed so many freaking times. So we knew that this moment was coming. Why are we now just sort of freaking out, right? But again, you're creating something new based off of what you've already established. Like that is not going anywhere. Like, but the point of Flashpoint is to change the status quo and give us something new, certainly going forward. It's always been the plan of DCEU for quite some time. I don't know why all of a sudden, maybe because Zack Snyder's Justice League came out and people are like so pumped about it again that they forgot that this movie's been on the docket for years already and been planning for this moment forever now. So maybe we are just a very recency biased group of people in society these days and have a very short-term memory when it comes to certain things nowadays. But yeah, this has been planned for a while. So again, I don't believe the Twitter handler when he says his friend has seen this movie. Yeah, I've got a friend too. They've seen plenty of movies. Okay, so I don't believe this, but I think if anything, he's probably just feeding into the Snyderverse fans and trying to get under their skin so that, and just trolling so that people can continue to push against WB before they've actually even seen what the movie's capable of doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Just using words to freak people out.
Yeah. And again, I think like if the person had worded it better and didn't say the words erased, but rather said like retconned or something else, I don't think fans would be anywhere near this mad. I think it's just like the word erase kind of implies like, oh, we're so ashamed of it, we're not even going to acknowledge that it ever happened. I do think that, it did still lay the groundwork, and it's not like they're pretending it never happened. It's just like the continuity from those movies just probably won't be really brought up, and that's totally fine with me personally.
Yeah, and I also want to bring up, because Nathan Moore says, I think it's about how we won't get the big Justice League team up with those particular characters.
Mm-hmm.
Because, there are also rumors certainly going around that as part of this theory that it's going to be erased, that we are going to get a new Batman and Superman in place, but it's going to end up being Batgirl and Supergirl. Marcelino says people are calling the DCEU the DCU. It's so funny because they're replacing Superman and Batman because of the so-called force female empowerment, because there is the rumor going around that since, hey, we're erasing the Snyderverse stuff, but hey, guess what, guys that are pushed back and like trigger words, we're going to be giving you guys Supergirl and Batgirl instead, right? For me, I'm gonna be honest with you, Stuart. Can I just be 100% honest with you guys? If that is the route that they're going, I'm truly not the biggest fan of it. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's got nothing to do with the fact that we're getting female-led superheroes or anything like that. For me, it's just I don't remember the last time I saw a Justice League comic book where Supergirl and Batgirl were leading Justice League. For me, that almost feels like a Teen Titans team in a sense. I guess for me, I would have to certainly give them the chance to see how storyline wise they would even pull the trigger on that. Again, even that's if those particular rumors are even true, getting us like a whole brand new Justice League. It would feel weird to me, because when I think of Supergirl, Batgirl, maybe even Blue Beetle, Shazam, that doesn't feel very Justice League-ish to me. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there definitely has to be. It's just hard to think of a Justice League without the big seven or without the big names like that. It
Mm-hmm.
feels very much like a watered down Justice League to me. I get the idea of wanting to do something different, but I don't necessarily know if that's the way to go, different, to be different. You know what I mean? But maybe you look at that differently. How do you feel about, again, the rumor that if this does erase the Snyderverse, that it's because now we're supposed to be getting the Supergirl and Batgirl to take over those roles as Superman and Batman going forward?
My biggest thing about why I don't want that yet is because we still have yet to really get like the ideal Justice League movie. And not to crap on Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, I did for the most part enjoy it, but the big thing is that it didn't even have like it didn't even have all the 5 members that I feel like are required for a starting Justice League team. Like, I feel like if you're going to have a starter team, you have to have Green Lantern in it. And it's weird that, in either version of the Justice League movies, we don't have that. So I just really want to have my or I just really want to have like the Justice League movie with the 5 like essential members first before we have like kind of the passing of the torch. Like and hey, I'd even be down for Supergirl and Batgirl to be part of that Justice League team as long as it has that core 5 members, because the thing about the Justice League is that they're always rotating, they're always adding new members. So the idea of having those 5 and then Batgirl and Supergirl on it as well, I'm totally all for as well. But I feel like you just got to have the 5: the Green Lantern, Flash, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. I feel like they have to be in your at the very least in your first Justice League movie. And since this is going to be a new DCEU continuity, it'd be weird to start it off with this as their new Justice League team.
And yeah, I agree, and I think that's why it's hard for me to wrap my head around the idea that people at Warner Brothers are like, this is a great idea. Like for me, for me, it just feels like a very watered down idea, if that's the way that they're deciding to go. I mean, I get the idea of wanting to establish brand new stars and stuff, but I feel like maybe make them earn it first, before putting them into a big group like that. Like they've been talking about a Supergirl movie for quite some time now. We clearly know that we're going to be getting ourselves a Batgirl movie. The fact that Michael Keaton is going to be in Batgirl, maybe that is sort of their way of giving Batgirl the nod to sort of pick up that new particular mantle. But I feel like I'm probably going to need to see these characters earn it before I'm fully on board with the idea of like, hey, we want to present to you a new Justice League, but look at the team that we're setting up. It does feel very weird because I've never seen a Justice League team like that. From the comic books, it feels very much like a West Coast Avengers sort of vibe to me that I get when you mention something like that. But creatively, I'll be open to the idea of seeing what their movies are like, how they're established as characters, but you really got to work on that before you get me fully invested in the idea of believing that they are now going to be a new Justice League. It just feels off to me. So I will keep an open mind, but we'll see what happens in regards to that, and if any of these rumors end up even being true to begin with. So we'll see. But I agree with you. I feel like even those main 5 at least, and then sprinkling other members, I would love to see that a little bit more, an actual core group of Justice League. I mean, maybe WB feels like the Zack Snyder's Justice League was enough. Like that was the moment that established the DCEU, and now we want to kind of switch it up. But it still feels a little bit too soon for comfort, though.
Yeah, I think my other thing too with both versions of Justice League is that they had Superman in it, but like I don't think that's something that needed to be earned. Like to me, Superman being part of the Justice League is like Captain America. Or okay, that's a bad example because I know he wasn't originally in the Avengers, but you know what I mean. Like with
Close
the way
enough,
they started,
though, like 4 issues off or so.
Yeah, exactly. He eventually showed up like 4 or 5 issues in, and ever since then, now it's like, you think of Captain America when you think of Avengers, and it would have been really weird if in the Avengers movie, if we didn't get Captain America until that last 10 minutes,
Yeah, absolutely. You make a great point there. Datilla, what's up, Datilla? Datilla is also complimenting the camera. Thank you, thank you. I'm glad you're liking the camera so far. Do you guys think we will eventually get a Batman Beyond movie? Stuart, this is kind of the route that I'm hoping to, man. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I mean, if we're bringing Michael Keaton back, I get the idea of maybe passing the mantle on to Batgirl, but I would really love to see him also do his own side thing and establish another Batman character for this world that they're kind of creating. I think, it's one of those things like Marvel, I feel like, has jumped and pounced on every opportunity to bring in new characters, to explore the multiverse and have a lot of fun with it. You know, if DC, if we're going to be exploring the multiverse, and you know that there are fans out there that are hungry for a Batman Beyond. Granted, I don't know how well a Batman Beyond thing would do general audience wise. I think this is an opportunity to at least introduce a new character for general audiences to certainly get behind. And with the star power of like Michael Keaton rubbing off on some people, I think Batgirl and a Batman Beyond character would be really fantastic to have explored. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I feel like if there's any opportunity for it to happen now more than ever, because you would have asked me this 5 years ago, I would have said no. But now I'm hoping that that's where it's leading, Stuart. What about you, man?
Fingers crossed. I definitely would love to see Batman Beyond in live action finally. I don't know if it would happen as a movie only because the story would be kind of similar with the route that they seem to be going with Batgirl. But you know, if they wanted to pull it off as like an HBO Max series, like I'd say go for it. You know, and then you could use that as an opportunity for you know, bringing back Kevin Conroy as like a retired Bruce Wayne again. I think he did a really good job for that brief moment we saw him in Crisis. So I'd love to see him try, you know, pull it off in his own TV show.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you too. I would definitely eat up a HBO Max series if that's possible. Tatilla also says Justice League Unlimited was my show growing up. She says the cartoon team consisted of Batman, the Flash, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Hawk Girl, and Martian Manhunter. Yeah, a Hawk Girl or even a Hawk Man would be a great addition to a Justice League team at some particular point in time. So yeah, I guess for me, there's so much more that I would have loved to have seen fulfilled for the Justice League team as it is. Granted, the future is certainly in limbo when it comes to the DCEU. And again, I wouldn't mind the idea of Batgirl and Supergirl being a part of the Justice League, but it is one of those things where I'm gonna need to see them truly earn it. And I'm not talking just one solo film between these two ladies, and then hey, we're gonna put you into a Justice League. No, you got to really establish them to have had some incredible impact on the DCEU for me to believe like, hey, this is going to be our new part of our new big seven. Because when I think of Justice League, those are the people that Datilla referenced that I think of, and even including Aquaman or even oh, he or she already got Green Lantern in there, but there are definitely some other faces. Other than that, you're just giving me West Coast Justice League, and I'm just not down for that. As much as you want to get creative and new, and again, it's got nothing to do with the idea of the DCU. It has everything just with, I just, as a comic book fan, it just feels off to me, is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think like for me too, it's like not just as a comic book fan, but like yeah, with the Justice League animated series, that was like one of my favorite shows growing up, and I think that's like the main reason why I wanted to see like a Justice League movie with at the very least those with those five. And yeah, and if they eventually if they had enough room in the movie, I of course would have loved to see John Jones as well, Hawkgirl possibly, but I don't know, it would be one of those things where I feel like it's kind of hard to write just one of the Hawks. Like I feel like if you're gonna write one of them in, you got to write both of them in nowadays when it comes to like Hawkman and Hawkgirl. So but without a doubt, yeah, I would love to see if they wanted to adapt storylines from that show into a live action movie, I think it would work really well.
Yeah, because even some of the rumors, one of the rumors I heard was that Michael Keaton's Batman was going to be working with Black Canary and choosing Batgirl as the new sort of Batman for the universe. There's just a lot of rumors out there that just seem a little bit weird to me that, I mean, I can kind of see happening, but it just feels like a really weird take on things. So I am really curious to see what you guys think. Do you believe the rumors that are certainly going around that Supergirl and Batgirl are going to be the new Superman and Batman of the DCEU, that the Flash truly is going to be erasing the Snyderverse, or are you very much on the side of Ezra Miller when he says you can't truly ever erase Zack Snyder's work, which I think we certainly believe in the sense that that is the establishment of the DCEU, and this is just a changing of the status quo going forward sort of thing. I'm kind of curious to know where you guys land on it. Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. And with that, Stuart, I think that wraps it up for us, man, in regards to all of our main topics today. So thank you very much, guys, for your participation and joining us in the live chat, letting some of your thoughts be known on a lot of the topics that we certainly had to discuss today. But you know what time it is, Stuart? What time is it, sir?
Live viewer questions.
Certainly coming through. A quick, even Datilla over here says, "I'm with Adam. Batgirl and Supergirl have to earn the right to be a part of the Justice League." Absolutely, man. Like you can't just because Michael Keaton says, "Hey, you're going to be the new Batgirl." That still just feels weird to me. Just see her pop up next in like a Justice League movie. So like, I'm gonna need like a trilogy of Batgirl to kind of see her impact in Gotham. How great of a superhero she's gonna be. Is Leslie Grace really gonna knock this role out of the park? Because when I think of Justice League, I think of gods among men. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking bigger than life sort of characters, and I really want to see them earn it before you tell me that that's who they're eventually going to be replacing. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But yeah, time for live viewer questions. Jessica Friedman's got a couple questions. Would you like to see Nora and Bart Allen spin-off one day? And which Arrowverse hero would you like to see show up in Stargirl? So yeah, would you like a Nora and Bart Allen spin-off series?
I'm not opposed to that idea at all. I don't know how much don't know how much steam it would have though going forward, because you already got the Flash, which is already on its eighth season. So it's hard to say whether or not that's something fans would want to see. So, but yeah, I personally would love to. I'm open to the idea. Let me put it that way.
I would be open to the idea too. I wonder if I would just call it Impulse though. Um, Maybe not the Adventures of like Impulse at XS. That'd be weird.
Ooh, just the Tornado Twins,
The
I
Tornado
guess.
Twins, yeah, that would be a
Yeah.
pretty cool thing too. I mean, they've popped up in several seasons at least already. They're planning on being in this season to some capacity also. So I think they have the longevity in the sense of being a part of the Flash to warrant a spinoff. Whether or not that's something that'll happen, who knows? But I'd be open to it. I'm with you,
Ooh,
Stuart.
actually, ask us sorry. Ask us that question again after the two-parter. I think it's supposed to be two parts, but basically after the next couple episodes of the Flash, where we actually do follow them for the next couple episodes.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And which Arrowverse hero would you like to see show up in Stargirl? We've already seen the Flash, Jay Garrick pop up in Stargirl. Any other heroes you'd like to see?
Right now, probably just Grant Gustin's Flash would be my number one choice. But I think also if a Melissa Benoist ever wants to come back, it would be kind of cool. I feel like her and Stargirl would actually have really good chemistry together. Yeah. You're muted.
Yeah, I would agree with you there too. I definitely would love to see Supergirl in there as well. I think just based off of her ideologies and just her perspective and personality alone, I think she would mesh really well with Stargirl. It'd be really cool to kind of see Stargirl learn a thing or two from her. Marcelino Vasquez has got a couple questions. Today's questions are scrapped idea themes. So, scrapped idea themes. Do you think the original plans for Captain America 3, the Serpent Society, will get retooled one day in the future? Like maybe they can use some elements for Captain America 4.
I'm going to make a slight correction there. There were never actually plans to make it about the Serpent Society. That was just a product. There's a term for it. I keep forgetting what they call it, but it's when you basically put like a fake name in order to kind of hide what's really going on. So that was kind of like the whole purpose of calling it Serpent Society, was just so that when the eventual reveal of it being Civil War came, it would just have that much of a bigger impact. That said, though, I do think that we are going to get the Serpent Society in something going forward, whether it be Captain America 4 or just another Marvel TV show going forward. I do think it's going to happen. It's very likely to happen sometime in the future. You were muted once again.
Sorry, Stuart. And then
Drinking game today.
right? For real. Hey, nothing wrong with having an early morning drink. Which of the planned story arcs that was originally supposed to happen for Clone Wars do you wish made it to season 7?
I would have loved to. Okay, actually, I'm kind of mixed on this. I would have loved to have seen that duel between Cad Bane and Boba Fett,
That's where I was going.
but at the same time, I'm happy to know that without it like being officially canon now, there is still room for us to see that in live action. So it's kind of my answer, but also kind of not at the same time. It really depends on how Book of Boba ends. If it ends without them having that duel or without him even being referenced, then yeah, it would have been nice to have it in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I would agree with you. That's the first thing that came to my head. If you guys remember, we were doing reviews for The Mandalorian season 2. And even in season 1, I was really hoping that Cad Bane would pop up. A lot of people were like, "Oh, he's dead." They planned on killing him off in the Clone Wars and stuff. And I'm like, I don't believe that story ever made it official. Like, I don't think they ever aired it or it became like actual canon as of yet. So as far as I'm aware, Cad Bane is still alive out there somewhere. I would love to see him pop back up. There's a part of me that's hoping. I mean, when we got the appearance of like the boots and the sand of Tatooine sort of thing, I was like, "Ooh, is that Cad Bane?" sort of thing. But it didn't turn out to be him. But I do feel like that's something I would love to see brought to life in live action. I don't know if we're going to be getting it for the Book of Boba Fett, but it is something I would have loved to have seen Clone Wars at least finish off or use that storyline. Do you wish that Zack Snyder's pitch for Wonder Woman was used instead of what we got? His pitch included taking place in the Crimean War. Wonder Woman acting more like a war veteran fighting in multiple wars to kill Ares, acting more brutal to the point to where she carries around the heads of her victims, and that Steve Trevor would help restore her faith in humanity. Ironically enough, his pitch for Wonder Woman is more closely in line with comic book Wonder Woman than Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman. So do you wish that they went with that pitch for Wonder Woman instead?
Definitely not. I don't. I mean, I've said this multiple times. Wonder Woman killing, I'm definitely all for because because it's not like she's a murderer, but in the comic book, she does, if there's no other choice, she will make that choice, like she did with Maxwell Lord, and I stand behind her on that decision when she snapped his neck in order to save like millions of lives. You know, so for the most part, yeah, she's not afraid to kill, but she also doesn't take pleasure in it. So the idea of her carrying out around the heads of her enemies, I don't like that because that implies that you see killing as like a trophy, and that's just, to me, that's not Wonder Woman. Even if that's like accurate to some like Elseworld storylines or some like early Wonder Woman comic books back in the day before they really established that superheroes have to be role models. It's just not something I would want to see in a Wonder Woman movie unless they make it very clear that it's an Elseworlds Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, Stuart. I look, I really enjoyed the first Wonder Woman movie. I thought Patty Jenkins really knocked it out of the park, and I thought it was a really great balance for her in regards to showing the warrior side of her, but also the empathetic and understanding side to Wonder Woman, especially when it comes to humanity. I really enjoyed the fish out of water type of showcase that they had for that movie, and really seeing her understand human society a little bit better. So no, I'm actually really glad that they went with the storyline that they did for Patty Jenkins. And I'm usually a really big fan of Zack Snyder and some of his concepts, but yeah, the idea of like carrying around the heads of the people, like that's just a little too over the top,
Mm-hmm.
I get the idea of being a warrior and being raised and stuff like that, but that's just a little bit too dark for even me for a Wonder Woman movie itself. But I don't know. I thought they had a really great balance in general of showcasing the empathetic yet the warrior side of Wonder Woman. So I love what Patty Jenkins was able to do with that first movie.
Yeah, and I'm glad Zack Snyder kind of kept that continuity in with his Justice League, because she again kind of goes back to what I was saying about Wonder Woman. She kills in Justice League,
Right.
with Steppenwolf, but she didn't take pleasure in it. She didn't go out of her way to like murder, those the bank rob, or no, they weren't even bank robbers. They were just full on terrorists in the very beginning of the movie
Oh,
and
right.
stuff. So I thought that was good. Although, yeah, there was that explosion scene that was kind of silly, but I feel like in universe it was meant to be like a safe explosion, but just the way it was directed was weird. But you know what I mean, though. Like, I am glad that Zack Snyder, it felt like the same Wonder Woman that we got in Patty Jenkins' movie.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. Doomsday's got a couple questions. Which Avenger movie do you think was the better movie? What about the better experience? So, which Avenger movie do you think was the better movie? And what about the better experience?
Okay, I actually do have a good answer for this. I think Infinity War is my favorite Avengers movie. In fact, probably like just my favorite comic book movie at this point. I've seen that movie so many times. But Endgame is one of the most entertaining times I've ever had in a movie theater. Just especially because I was in a movie theater filled with nerds, and you could just tell that every scene where something really cool happens, it was so great to be with a crowd that I could cheer with, and like we all had like a great time together. And plus, just Endgame being the perfect fan service movie. It's like Infinity War. It took itself really seriously. It really had this great buildup, and you really cared about what was going on. And then Endgame was just that really satisfying, just payoff for everything going on.
That's a good answer, man. I'm really stumped on this one, Stuart. I'm really stumped on this one. This is a tough question for me because I feel like there's so many great experiences I've had with the Avengers movie. What I think was the better movie? Like, I think out of the all the movies, as far as better movie, I think I have Infinity War ranked higher, but Endgame was an incredible experience for me. But at the same time, I also want to give the first Avengers movie some love
Mm-hmm.
too, because I felt like that was such an overall great movie in regards to it being our first Avengers film, a great way to bring all these heroes together. A cinematic moment alone that stands the test of time of seeing the Avengers finally together and that great round table sort of shot that we get, right? Just the epicness of the battle in New York City. It just had everything that you want in an Avengers movie or even a big team up movie that had never really been done before. So it's hard for me to like, God, that's so tough for me because I do think Infinity War was the better movie, but as far as experience goes, God, I probably had such great experiences with both of them. That's a tough one for me, man. I don't know which experience I enjoyed better. Like Endgame in the sense of like just the final battle and seeing everybody come through the portals and the great send off for, even like the credit scene of seeing how they put everybody's farewell package together with the names and the signatures. Like all that had like such a great buildup for so many years of being invested into the MCU that it made for a great experience. But yeah, I guess to be different from you, Stuart, I'll say best experience probably the first Avengers movie. Better movie though, probably Infinity War. But that's just me, and it feels weird saying that because it feels like even Infinity War is not even its own. It feels like it's such a bigger part of something else that
Mm-hmm.
like standalone wise, I feel like I should even be saying the first Avengers movie. I don't know, Stuart. That's a tough question, Doomsday. Thank you for your question, man. What do you think though?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think with the first Avengers movie, there's a lot of credit that has to go to that, because this was something that I was telling people was not going to happen back in I think I was in 8th grade when Iron Man 1 came out. I was and they first teased the idea of the Avengers Initiative. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but we're not actually going to get an Avengers movie, or if we do, it's going to be like it's going to be
Fantastic Four,
after,
Justice
yeah.
League type
It's
of.
just going to be a standalone movie. You know, I was like thinking if we do get Avengers, we're not going to get any of the characters already established. It's going to be years later and it's going to be a standalone. And that was one of the first times I was so happy to be wrong, because it wasn't until like Captain America, when they had the trailer at the end, that was when I finally realized, oh, it
It's
actually is
happening.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. But guys, look, I think that's a great question, Doomsday. Like, I would love to know, people that are in the live chat, which Avenger movie do you think was the better movie? But what also about the better experience? So what, how, of all the Avengers movies we've had, can you break it down as easily as Stuart has? Because I'm having trouble with it, man. That's a tough one. I've really enjoyed a lot of them. Were you excited or skeptical when they first announced the live action Spider-Man movie back in 2002? So that was 20 years ago. So I was 19 at the time when they announced it. Were you excited or skeptical when they announced it, Stuart? Do you remember?
I mean, I was like really young, so I was just excited. I don't think it was possible for me to dislike a movie back then. So anytime there was a movie being made about a property I was familiar with, yeah, I was hella excited.
Yeah, I was pretty excited. I mean, I think I was definitely curious as to how are they going to make this movie. But I think when I first saw the official like teaser poster or like the Spider-Man costume, I was definitely excited for it, but I had no idea how they were going to pull it off for sure. But I was definitely excited.
Mm-hmm.
Last set of questions here. This is from good old AJ, certainly coming through. He says, if we potentially get an Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield back as Peter, what would you like the movie to be about, especially if it takes place after No Way Home or even the past Spider-Man films?
Man, I don't know what I would want the plot to be, but I know that I would really love to see Gwen Stacy in it as Spider Gwen, and then possibly even have her dad be alive, because I don't think they established like what particular point the lizard was taken, but if we
Hmm.
assume it was right after he figured out that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, then you could assume he goes back, as Dr. Connors, and therefore never murders her dad. So
Interesting. I do
yeah.
like that idea too. I know a lot of people are saying, they would love to see Venom versus Andrew, but honestly, man, I'm sorry, guys. I know maybe I'll get hate. I'm just not a fan of Tom Hardy as Venom. I'm just not. I don't want to see him interact with any of these characters, honestly. I just don't. Um, Maybe that's the route that they're gonna go. But listen, I would almost want to take, I would almost want to see. Give me a Morbius, give me a Craven the Hunter. I'll take any of those routes that they're establishing in their universe, and would love to see Andrew Garfield go up against them. I want to see other villains that maybe we haven't had the opportunity to see him go up against yet. There's a huge plethora of rogues galleries for Spider-Man out there. I would love to see them tackle it. But yeah, Tom Hardy's Venom. Like, I can see why people want to see it. I can see that maybe even being the direction that they're going. Like, even Nathan thinks that that's the plan. He seems pretty adamant. Like, that's the plan that's going to happen. God, I hope not. But that's just me. What about you?
Ooh. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want to see Andrew Garfield Spider-Man fight Tom Hardy's Venom. I do think that if they're going to do it with anything, it's going to be with Tom Holland. And I mean, personally, like, yeah, the Venom movies are kind of dumb, but I do like Tom Hardy's Venom for the most part. I think he has the voice down perfectly, especially when it comes to Venom's like voice. So I do look forward to seeing him a little more of that version of Venom fighting Spider-Man. But yeah, I don't see it working with Andrew Garfield's. If anything, I hope that with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man 3, we just get kind of a conclusion to the Green Goblin storyline.
Mm.
Because, we got Harry Osborn as a Green Goblin, and I'm wondering if the events of No Way Home would encourage Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker to try to find a cure for that version of Green Goblin, the same way they did for Norman. Or maybe he took notes from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and figured out how to reproduce that cure for his friend, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point too. And listen, Sony's always had a hard on for doing a Sinister Six movie.
Yeah.
So I feel like that could easily still be up in the air, especially with everything that Sony is introducing with a Morbius and a Craven, right? Like they could easily be parts of that. I mean, they still had that post-credit scene at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2 that really teased what Oscorp was like working on and all the other new things that they were trying to come up with. So yeah, maybe that Harry storyline continues in some capacity. Maybe they bring in a Morbius and a Craven and other characters that they teased, and who knows, maybe this is a way for Tom Hardy to team up with Spider-Man and have those two facing off against a Sinister Six in sub capacity. Who certainly knows? Like I just find Tom Hardy's character. I mean, look, granted, there can always be sort of a misunderstanding, right? And Venom wanting to fight Spider-Man, and maybe Tom's the one that like helps pull him back. Like this guy's a superhero, though. Like we can't face him, but then Venom really wants to go after him, sort of thing. So I can see them battling, but then also because he's become such an anti-hero, teaming up and all of a sudden, working with Andrew and like, hey, let's take down the Sinister Six sort of thing. So I could see that happening, but God, I can't. I just don't like him, man. I just can't. I'm not a fan of his portrayal as Venom, but that's just me. That's just me. Jared, what's up, Jared? He would definitely love to see Tom Hardy as Venom take on Andrew or Toby if he's up to it. I think this was Toby's last run, man. I feel like this is Toby's last run after watching No Way Home. I think he did his job. For me, even when it comes to Toby, I still think one of my favorite scenes of No Way Home is when he stops Holland's Peter from killing Green Goblin, and he just does the look. He doesn't have to say a single word. It's just all about that look. I thought that was super impactful, just based off of who Maguire's Peter was. Jared says, "Oh, in the first Blade movie, in the deleted scene where Blade sees Morbius. Oh, is there a deleted scene with Morbius and Blade?"
I didn't know it was a deleted scene, but I do remember hearing that was initially the plan with the first Blade movie. But if they already filmed it, I'm actually kind of curious now.
Yeah, interesting. Let's see here. AJ says, what do you think of Terry Silver staying for season 5 of Cobra Kai? He did put a spoiler in here, which I'm a little bit pissed about, but that's okay. I haven't seen it yet. How do you think season 5 will play out, especially with Xolo as... Oh, see, he spoiled that for me too. Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, what do you think about... I'll just do what do you think of Terry Silver staying for season 5?
Yeah, I'm excited. I absolutely loved what they did with his character in season 4. Just to make sure I don't say anything, what episode did you leave off on?
So he's come back to Cobra Kai. He's already bought like brand new gear for the entire team. So I think him and Kreese are coming down with the idea. I think I was falling asleep in the last episode, but I think he approached LaRusso with like the grocery store or something like that. Tried to talk to him, or he came to his place, a Miyagi-Do, to talk to him or something like that.
Yeah.
And then LaRusso didn't, kind of showed his colors a little bit. So Terry Silver's like, all right, hey, no problem, man. So I think I maybe got like 3 or 4 episodes left. But yeah.
Let me put it this way. Terry Silver in Cobra Kai would make a really good Marvel villain. And I'm kind of dead serious about that.
Okay.
He is by the end of the season, you're going to love him as a villain. He is like a perfect, you love to hate him type of character, who also you kind of can't help but feel a little bit sorry for, because he almost had his life together. And it's kind of tragic to see, like, man, you had it going for yourself, but you let Kreese drag you back into this.
Yeah, it's funny when I watched Terry, and he confronts Kreese for the first time. Kreese, and they finally go off and have their solo talk, and Kreese is trying to bring him back into the fold. I didn't know what type of Terry Silver we were gonna get. So to kind of see this man's life reformed, and the fact he's like, man, I went to therapy. He's like, bro, we literally teased the teenager. Like the fact of like how he broke down his own actions in the Karate Kid 3 just made me and the girlfriend just absolutely laugh our ass off. Like, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous that these like adult ass men are like picking fights with these little kids and shit. Um, and so like for me, I've really enjoyed, like, I guess they've tackled Terry Silver in a way so far in this series that I was not expecting, that I'm like, man, I really love their approach to this character. Somebody that is clearly moved on from their lives, has got something else better in store for himself, but then being pulled back into it. And so right now I'm at that stage of like, okay, like Terry is coming across as a villain in a sense, right? But at the same time, he's a lot more focused, right? He's not like promoting this violence sort of thing as of yet, but in the sense of like, it feels very much like push yourself to your limits to be the best person. Like it just feels like he's focusing more on the tournament and getting the abilities of these kids to such a top level sort of thing, that where Miyagi Do and Eagle Fang just aren't even together at this point, that like they're floundering, towards like we're just gonna prove it to them in the tournament sort of thing. He hasn't really focused. Like Kreese feels like he wants to do all the undermining and the dirty shit type of thing, whereas Kreese is like, let's stop dealing with like just being kids and like going down the wrong path. Let's literally teach these students how to be better sort of thing, in the sense of fighting. But I feel like there's certainly more that's certainly coming. I just don't know how to read Terry Silver as of right now, but I'm really glad of their approach, because this is not what I was expecting at all. So if Terry Silver does come back in season 5, I think he's gonna make a great foil. I've been hella impressed, man. Like seeing him with his hair out, he looks so vastly different. And the moment he put his hair back, I was like, oh shit, that's Terry Silver. Like it blew my mind. I was like, cannot believe this man is back, bro. I could not believe it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fully agree. It's almost like, yeah, the moment he puts his hair back, his mannerisms, his like
He looked 20
personality is so
years younger,
different.
bro.
Yeah.
He looked 20 years younger, like the guy that I remember from the movie. So I was like, oh my God, with that Grinch smile on his face, like he's up to some shit he shouldn't be up to. So I'm still trying to figure out his role in this series. I think we literally got like, how many episodes are in this show?
10 for this season.
Okay, so I might
10.
be like, I might actually be like halfway. I might be like episode 5 or 6 right now. So yeah, like the new kid just came in. Tanner, or the John, Johnny's sons brought him under his wing, but the kid's a part of Cobra Kai now. I didn't know LaRusso's kids were such dicks.
Oh my God,
God,
dude.
I cannot.
I wanted to punch Danny's kid right there. Like,
God.
I think like it was hard for me because like I've known people in high school who have done that. It's just it's messed up. Like specifically when it comes to like the pretending to be someone else, like online when talking to someone.
Ugh.
Like I've known people in middle school and high school that have done that. It's like one of the most effed up ways to bully someone.
Absolutely, man. Like I felt so bad for this kid. Like I do appreciate like the new characters, the stories that they're kind of introducing. I can see, one of the things that we talked about, Stuart, was, is season 5 going to be the last season? Are they milking this season for more than it's worth, sort of thing? Maybe some people might think that, but I feel like naturally, so far, it feels like a pretty good progression in order to get more seasons out of this particular show, because I have really enjoyed all the characters and the arcs that they're on so far. But yeah, the Terry Silver stuff still has me blown away, and I cannot wait to see how this season ends. I wouldn't be surprised if me and the girlfriend knocked this out by the end of the day. Honestly, I mean, it's unbelievable to me how binge worthy this show is and how good it is every single time. There are some moments that are a little bit cringy for me. Maybe too on the nose with life lessons sort of thing. Like it reminds me of Power Rangers sometimes. Like, oh, but other than that, I really, really love this show. I really have.
Yeah.
Um, and then last but not least from AJ, if we do get a revival or a continuation of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., what do you want to see or be better than its original ending? And what other roles do you want to see Ming-Na Wen be in the future? This could even apply to Chloe Bennett since she quit the now infamous Powerpuff Girls live action series. I'm still not. I'm agreeing with you, Stuart, and what you said earlier. I don't believe we would get a revival of the series. Um, I mean, who knows? I guess we probably could, but I feel like if anything, maybe this is a way for them to be just introduced into the bigger MCU. I would love to see them pop back up in Secret Invasion. And I think if we do get anybody, I'm truly thinking just Agent Coulson, Daisy, and the Cavalry. But
Mhm.
maybe I'm wrong though. What do you think though?
Yeah, I think those characters, Mac, I think would be cool to bring him back as well. And then, of
Hmm.
course, Simmons is the one that I've heard like the strongest rumors around coming into Secret Invasions. So, and she has been kind of active like with directing as well. So, if they needed her to direct a TV episode like of Secret Invasions while having her there on set, I think that'd be kind of a cool opportunity.
Yeah, like for me, I don't necessarily know if I would want a series again so much as I would love to see their involvement more or less in the bigger MCU.
Hmm.
I would love to see them have more cameos in future television series, future big budget films that wind up coming in. Like Wong has definitely made a big name for himself when it comes to Doctor Strange. We saw him pop up in Shang-Chi along with No Way Home. Like that's how I would like to see some of these other characters like May or Daisy and Phil kind of utilized going forward. Because I don't know how long Samuel L. Jackson's want to continue to be in here. I mean, I'm sure probably to a certain extent, but I think it would be a really great way, passing of the torch, if you will, of having those characters play a bigger integral role in the MCU going forward instead of just giving them a show of their own.
Yeah, and also on top of that, it would be really cool if they brought back the same actor for Ghost Rider. If they ever bring Ghost Rider to future Marvel properties.
Gabriel Luna.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat too. I mean, because look, he was set up for an actual series himself. Before that was certainly scrapped. Marvel clearly had other plans. I know Norman Reedus right now is doing a big fan campaign for him to be the upcoming Ghost Rider. I've heard speculation of maybe like a Keanu Reeves as a Ghost Rider too, right? So I feel like the Ghost Rider role is very much up for grabs right now, and I would be curious to see who they wind up landing. So would you be like, if you had to choose out of those three, would you prefer Gabriel as a Ghost Rider, or do you have somebody else in mind?
Um, I mean, I prefer Gabriel as that version of Ghost Rider, but if we're going with any Ghost Rider in general, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I think I would slightly prefer to see Norman Reedus as a ghost, as like Johnny Cage.
Johnny?
Yeah, Johnny Cage, right? That was his name, or
I believe so. Yeah, you're thinking
yeah.
because they're so close to Mortal Kombat.
Yes. No, wait, was it Johnny Blaze? What? Okay, I
Johnny
forgot.
Blaze?
Yeah, I forgot Ghost Rider's name. Okay, either
Yeah,
way,
I think it's
I would
Johnny
like to
Blaze. It's
see.
Johnny Blaze.
Yeah, I would love to see. I would definitely love to see Norman Reedus taking up that role for sure. But if they ever bring back the original Ghost Rider from the Old West, I don't think anyone can play that role except for Sam Elliott. I think like that brief cameo he had in the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider movie. I think like yeah, he's the only one I ever want to see in that role particular.
I love that. Datilla says, speaking of Ghost Rider, what do you think of Nick Cage as Ghost Rider? I enjoyed the first one. I really
It was
enjoyed.
memorable.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first Ghost Rider. The second one kind of jumped the shark a little bit for me, but I did like the first one.
It's definitely a fun movie to look at. Like I remember after watching it in theaters, I was thinking this would have been a really fun amusement park ride.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed too with the special effects that they had for Ghost Rider. The first and second one, I was actually pretty impressed. I didn't know what to expect there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But guys, I think other than that, I think that actually does it for all of our live viewer questions today, guys. So thank you very much for everybody who certainly participated and let their thoughts. Oh, sorry, let their thoughts be heard in regards to that. Nathan Moore does say, I have a feeling Sam Jackson's attitude is hell as long as they keep paying me.
I mean, his whole thing of why he's even Nick Fury to begin with is because in the Ultimate comic books, when they first rebooted the Marvel universe, they basically structured Nick Fury's face right after him, and he's just kind of like, hey, if you guys are going to do this, I'm playing him in the live action adaptation if you guys don't want to get sued.
Yeah, for sure. I remember opening the book for the Ultimates. I'm like, that's Samuel L. Jackson. Like they literally just made this man Nick Fury. Listen, I'm not complaining. I really enjoyed his mark that he left on the MCU in the very early films. I don't necessarily need Sam as much as I used to these days, just because they haven't really used them as much. I'm never don't hear what I'm not saying. Not saying that I don't want Sam Jackson as Nick Fury. I don't necessarily know if they would recast the role or anything like that. But it is one of those things I would like to see other people kind of take that position, because I feel like even in the Marvel comics, I think Nick Fury has been killed off before. I think he's been like hiding in space for quite some time also, right, in some of the storylines that they've had. He's turned kind of roguish before also. So there are definitely elements that I think Sam Jackson can definitely still tackle and still have not as not as impactful of an imprint on the MCU, like still being in the background, but pop in whenever they need to. But in the meantime, if you do want S.H.I.E.L.D. to be still a big organization, I think we definitely have some characters that could definitely take on that role and be a little bit more in front of the camera than a Nick Fury these days.
I just thought of something. How would you feel if in Multiverse of Madness we get a cameo with David Hasselhoff's Nick Fury?
From like that old NBC movie special that we had of like, damn, that'd be listen, they nothing is impossible, Stuart, right?
Yep.
Never say never these days, especially the way that Marvel is handling their MCU. I mean, look, Doctor Strange, they did say they were going back for some massive reshoots to maybe include some cameos and some surprise appearances. So who knows who's going to have an impact on the MCU going forward. I would be interested to see who winds up popping up in that movie, but that would definitely make me laugh if they're looking for a great laugh out of the audience for sure. David Hasselhoff, who would have known? Who would have known? All right, guys. But other than that, that will in fact wrap it up for us here today. So thank you very much for certainly joining us. We will certainly be back next Sunday, as always, going live at 11 a.m. Central Time for next week. I think maybe once the playoffs finally wrap up, maybe in February, we'll go back to our noon time slot. But we'll definitely always keep you guys up to date in that regards. Also, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Also, feel free to join our Discord community. It is very much set up like a forum community, another place for us as a community to go ahead and discuss topics throughout the week outside of our YouTube channel. So if you definitely would love to go ahead and join our Discord forum, there is a link in the description box below for you guys to certainly do that. And we could talk about a plethora of different topics that are certainly made available for you guys up there for some great interaction and to continue to grow as a community here. So definitely join our Discord. And Stuart, if people want to go ahead and reach out to you on social media, sir, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at TurboStew01 over on Twitter.
Awesome, man. Good to see you. Thank you very much for certainly joining us. And of course, guys, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so right up here at the top at APlus Opinions. Very active over on Twitter, as well as our main Facebook page, which I highly recommend that you guys certainly join and follow us. Again, all the links are in the description box below. The Facebook page is where we keep you guys posted throughout the weeks with news articles, trailers, posters, memes, all the information that you need. And at the end of the week, we pull the topics from our Facebook page to certainly talk with you guys about here on APlus Hero Report. So definitely go ahead and check us out there. And we're very active over on Instagram as well. But until then, guys, that's going to do it for us here. But we'll certainly will be back next weekend. And until then, do us a big favor. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.